This is a lot better, I think. All right, let's go live on IG. No one here yet. Pin this comment. Hey, everybody. Hi, Gardenia. Hi, Susie. So much love to you both. Actually, Susie, I was about to promote your work today. I've been wearing your hat everywhere. Hello, beautiful soul. Big hug to you, Susie. And everyone on the live, please look up Susie Tamimi. I've been wearing your shirt and your hat everywhere, dear. Everywhere. Hi, Gardenia. Hi, Nile Valley. I think that's the first time I interact with you live. Big hugs, Susie. Big hugs until victory, my love. Until your homeland is free. Inshallah, it's happening. Inshallah, it's gonna happen. Not on its own. We all have a role in it right now. Inshallah, it's gonna happen. Hi everybody. So, if you've been on the lives before, you know the drill. This is a way for me to share more time with people really online, first and foremost. Honestly, it's one of the most self-conscious things that I do. So the thing that makes me do it over and over again is how amazing, just of a collective, we seem to find each other around how we embody the spaces that we're in. And one of them is this online space. That's really what brings me back. People that have changed my life, even though I've never met them, like Susie, and people that I've met maybe once or twice, like Gardenia, but still changed my life. And that the easiest access for now that I seem to have to build with you all and for you to build with me is online. So I'm really grateful to, to use this space in that way. Hi, Tian. Thank you so much for coming through. I saw your message. I didn't respond earlier. I'm really grateful for Tian, and I don't want to put too much publicly, but I tend to be very patient with people and very loving and very allowing. Tian is like, we're near strangers, but listen to me actually break down recently, and in a very unsolicited way, by the way. And I'm very grateful to you for that. It's not something that I take for granted at all. And I'm really grateful that I'm telling you these words firstly in front of people. And I'm grateful for you. What's up, everybody? So again, as I was saying, this is first and foremost a way to share space with the collective that has gathered online around several accounts, not just mine, millions of accounts, really around, I would say for me since 2021 specifically, I mean, I was sharing my whole life that I've been online about Palestine, especially after I left my homeland of Egypt. And I used to protest about Palestine in Egypt since middle school. And then when we couldn't anymore, unless there was dire consequence that I saw some of my friends suffer, I still, as soon as I had certain English language skills and so on in the US, Palestine's in my blood. It's not just part of my blood, even if it wasn't. This is my neighbors, and this is what I should be um, speaking for as a human being. And then from 2021, I found a way to garner some of the skills that I've learned about just basic skills of how to garner online attention. Because I was teaching from home, I was teaching about Palestine in school, but because I was teaching from home and the massacres, the genocide that happened in early 2021, I felt that I should use those online skills. I was barely sleeping, maybe 2 hours a night, sometimes 3, 4 hours a night. But honestly, I did that earlier for my home country in 2020, 2011, 2013, until 2014. I was told shut all your accounts if you want to live. Even though I was overseas, but like 5 visit or something. Anyway, so it's been a constant back and forth, but this is just one of the arenas, one of the spaces. Some people have the utmost integrity around Palestine and around other areas that are oppressed in um, under the same systems that are colonizing the Zionism and capitalism that is, and the Zionists and capitalists specifically, government and agents that are colonizing Palestine that we're now finding out have had hands in the Congo, have had hands in Sudan, have had eyes on Uganda and on Argentina and other places for so long. There are people that have been speaking up that have the highest integrity that you may never know online, that you may never read about in a history book, that you may never know personally. And I think it's important to hold that. It's a privilege that I get to have my face known in any way, even if it's known to 0 people now on YouTube and 4 beautiful people here. That's still a privilege. You're more than a privilege to me. You're human beings, and you're amazing. And you show up for me, not just on here, and I show up for you on the phone and privately. I mean, again, like I said, Tian, I'm gonna read your comment. Thank you for hearing me and letting me hear you. Absolutely, like that's private work that gets done that no one knows about. Donations, medic work, teaching. I have a privilege that I get to talk about the teaching work I did here in English. There's people that do this directly with refugee students that whose names we never know. So this is just a way to share space with what I have access to, but in no way, and I hope we continue to like deconstruct that. In no way does having a pixelated face mean that your work means more. I think actually the last live, the first message that came up, how did it come up? The star and the server, something like that we give way so much credit to the star versus the server, when every single star is also in part a server, and every server is someone's star. They may not be a star with an account or online or with the right language or the right look or the right anything. Me doing this here as a weird attempt at spending more time with myself during grief I don't even understand yet. um, you know what I mean? And I'm very, very grateful for you, Susie. I remember Susie. I remember one of your videos a long time ago, and I've been following your content on sovereignty with fabrics and with fashion for a long time. Thank you, Habibi. You always look gorgeous. Thank you, Susie. Thank you for saying that. But I remember a video a long time ago of you, Susie. This was, I don't think you knew even of me maybe back then, where you stood in front. Oh, thank you. It is misspelled. Thank you so much for letting me know. Okay, I'm gonna edit that. Whomever maryamtarot, maybe it was their nasib today to receive some funds. But thank you so much for letting me know. But I saw a video. I'll edit it in a little bit. I think it's important. I want to really uplift this video by Susie. I forgot the name of the settler. You know exactly what I'm talking about, Susie. I forgot the name of the heinous settler who who was trying to colonize the house. I think it was of the Kurds. I think it was Muhammad Yaqub. That was it. It was Yaqub, exactly. And he was saying Yaqub, or yeah, if I think it was the sister, I forgot her name, not Hamid Court's sister. I think it really was her, but I'm not sure. I think it was one of the family member who was saying like, you gotta understand, you're trying to steal my house. And he responds by saying, if I don't steal it, someone else is gonna steal it. And I think that was Mona. It was Mona Court, exactly. Thank you. It was Mona who was saying that, right? And he responded to Mona by saying, if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it. And that was in 2021 in Sheikh Jarrah in the West Bank. And Susie found Yaakov's house, perfectly just intact house in freaking Brooklyn, and exposed that house. Further exposure, he exposed himself by, well, unfortunately, to colonizers and white supremacists. He didn't do anything, that they don't know he was doing, and that perhaps in some part they're part of. But he exposed himself at least to the quote unquote fear world that was being sold a lie about what Israel is. And then on top of that, Susie did a video where she was reading a statement in front of Yaakov's house. It was in Long Island. Okay. Oh, that's even. So I stayed in both Brooklyn and Long Island for a short amount of time. So it saddens me, and it's sort of like, I'm very grateful that you're safe. Susie is like, Long Island is extremely unsafe if you don't look white. If you don't pass as white in some way, Long Island is more dangerous. Long Island and Portland, Oregon are more dangerous than some parts of the South. They can be very dangerous if you don't present as white, let alone if your paperwork or anything about your identity is not white, or distances you from whiteness. It's a deeply, deeply racist place. That was Lamis Dik. I know Lamis Dik. I'm so sorry. I thought that was you, Susie. That's my terrible memory. So it was Lamis who did that in front of the house. Thank you so much for saying that. I thought it was you the whole time. I came across Lamis. I don't know her like closely, but I'm very grateful that when I studied at CUNY at the City University of New York, we crossed paths. Okay, thank you for saying that. That makes me feel less. I mean, you're both gorgeous women, and you do. I can see now the similarity, like almost a similar length here. You both do look alike, but I'm glad I still uplifted that moment through the confusion. And you're both phenomenal Palestinian women, and that everyone, I'm not going to say everyone should be listening, everyone should have been listening to, and will continue to listen to, inshallah. But thank you for uplifting, helping me uplift that moment. So yeah, that was La Mystique. She's phenomenal. I crossed her path when I was studying at CUNY, and she's been saying things. She's one of the people that have been saying things in the English language that I really think people like. I hope people, especially people who speak English or whose first language is English. I mean, and for a lot of populations, that was an act of theft. There were other languages that were native to that person that were stolen and replaced by English. So I want to acknowledge that too. It's not, speaking English is not always a privilege, or even if it's a privilege, it can come with a lot of like, just like loss to an inheritance of heritage, inheritance of understanding of the world. Lamis is one of the few people that I know who say in English things that really the English language has tried to suppress so much. Like the things that she translates and makes accessible to an English-speaking audience is blood, sweat, and tears. So if you don't know La Mystique's work, please look her up. It's literally blood, sweat, and tears. Even if it's just the Facebook post that she says, and I remember her Facebook post from October 6th. And it breaks every bit of my goddamn heart, because initially, I'm sorry, she's absolutely a lion. Initially, I'm gonna say it straight up, October 6th, I felt an immense joy. Of course, no one wants any lives to be lost. But as a settler colony where every single civilian is a military personnel, And to see people from the now district of Gaza walk on the land of the larger part of Gaza before it was colonized for the first time in 50 plus years, and cry and say this was my father's farmland, or this was our farmland when I was a kid. That was a moment of victory. And to see bulldozers that were used to, please remember those moments with me, all. Please don't forget those moments. After 6 months of genocide, don't forget the moments that the Palestinian people are punished for. You know what was one of those moments? Palestinian youth taking over sheesh, I only know the word in Arabic, like winch, or like the building, the building vehicles. Like there's a big building vehicle that has like a thing like that, and it picks up like mud, or it destroys buildings in its way. Sheesh, I'm gonna try to remember the name so I'm being clear. But like these tools that are used for demolishing Palestinian buildings, and youth were able to take over only one of those units and demolish part of the wall. And demolish part of the wall. I'm not gonna even call it the apartheid. It's like a death wall. The wall, the same wall that George Floyd is commemorated on, and Ahid Tamimi are commemorated on, and heroes and martyrs around the world are commemorated on. Bulldozers, thank you so much. Bulldozers, exactly. It was youth took over a bulldozer, and you know what they chose to demolish? A wall. Well, for them, the wall. They didn't demolish people. They didn't demolish their homes. They didn't demolish their buildings. They didn't even demolish a military headquarters. They demolished the wall that is separating them from their land. I'm not going to even say their ancestral land, their land. And now look at 5 to 6 months, where the past week alone, when you look at the death toll, it's 91 people in the past 24 hours. 92 people in the past 24 hours, 102 people in the past 24 hours, 98 people within the past 24 hours in Gaza alone. Not in Palestine, not in large countries large populations. Like what? It's not a numbers game. Colonizers play the numbers game, comparing to the numbers in the Congo or in the Sudan. But we need to look at Gaza as this is a very small place. This is the highest concentration of people in the world. So the numbers, comparing numbers is a very white institution. It just doesn't work. It needs to be looked within its context. Within its context, 100 a day, that's a high number in and of itself. But imagine within the context, that's 10 times higher than what we can imagine, because Gaza is small. And one of the moments that initiated that, people are emphasizing the festival and the fake news, but not the real news of demolishing part of a colonialism wall with a bulldozer. We need to remember those victories. We need to never forget those victories. I need to never forget those victories. So these were just the beginnings. I'm gonna still do, if you're waiting on a reading, please let me know, because I still have some collective messages to go through first. Hi, Lubna. So I want to go through these collective messages first. They've been kind of coming throughout the week. I normally start every video by trying to describe how those messages come about and so on. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that today. All I'm going to say is shout out to my grandmother, Mama Aisha. Her mom was Palestinian, her dad is Egyptian, and she's the one who taught me just about everything that I know about readings. And I guess just to kind of say that my intentions are, and my practice is very pure, in the sense that if I have a source that is not channeling, I say that I have that source, that I read it from a book, or that this scholar told me, or this poet told me, or this person told me. And if it's something that came from channeling, then I just go ahead and say it, if that makes sense. I love you so, so much, Susie. I'm going to connect privately, but no pressure to respond. I miss your spirit too. I connected with you very deeply, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you for joining for part of it. Thank you so much for joining for part of it. The first collective message that I'm getting is about trust. So inshallah, and I'll keep coming online. I'll keep doing this. I feel called to keep doing this, so I'm gonna keep doing this. Um, the first message is pretty tough, and it is a build on a lot of messages that I'm hearing directly from Palestinian sources, mostly online and in person, and it's about the break of trust. I think a lot of rightfully so, a lot of, and I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but a lot of Palestinians in my life and online that I follow have been, and I hope we're listening to them, have been speaking to the space of losing trust, losing faith in people, in humanity, knowing from the very beginning that certain institutions were a farce. We hear that also a lot from Black activists. We've been hearing it. I hope we've been listening. Black activists in the US and globally about certain institutions that were not made for us, therefore cannot be trusted. Um, I think there's another layer of mistrust, though, that happened recently, and rightfully so. Um, my build on that is that I think a lot of people have experienced this break of trust a little bit more bitterly or more intensely this past week. They might have experienced it just as bitterly, if not even more, the past month or in past days. But I think this last week, this lack of trust that has been um, really as life-saving mechanism for the people experiencing genocide that the rest of us have failed. Um, and I'm not saying that out of like any owing, like eternal owing of guilt, but honestly out of like an in the moment adjustment. We have failed them until we have adjusted enough not to. And if we're the ones experiencing genocide, we have been failed until the world adjusts enough to stop it. That's not a statement of guilt or of ownership or of hierarchy of morality. Honestly, I think that's just a statement of fact as far as how we're living. Does that make sense? Um, I really hope this part is making sense, because I think if we experience it as like a moral hierarchy, then that's a form of submission. That's a form of feeling we're not good enough and we're never going to be good enough. And we were raised to only be conditioned by the empire, and there's nothing we can do. And I'll just keep doing those few things that I can do, and hope it works at some point. Versus if I see it as a statement of, um, so far, whether or not it was my fault. Some of it might have been my fault, some of it may not have been my fault, but just the conditions. I didn't choose where I was born and what I was around. Some of what I was around were based on the conditions of empire and the empire surviving. And now that I'm cognizant of that, I'm taking the first step towards not being an agent of empire. While recognizing that most of the tools I have right now are tools of failure. But that's different, right? I'm recognizing the tools I have as tools of failure versus I'm a failure. And that enables me to keep going and to keep building the tools of success and to change that legacy for my family. I think that's very important to make that distinction, because you're not a failure. You might have failed in a certain, I've failed in a certain action. I've failed in the tools that I've carried, but I'm not a failure. And nothing and no one's going to convince me that I am. I'm not. That's the only way that I can keep fighting. That's the only way that I can keep creating. I really, really mean that, y'all. And I know for some people, I'm going to get very different kinds of flack. Some people will give me flack for even suggesting that I failed. Some people will give me flack for saying, no, you are a failure. Genocide is happening. You're a freaking failure. And you're arrogant if you don't admit it. And I honestly, I've spent as much time as I can just tuning into my heart, the tuning fork of my heart. And it's saying that I can't dehumanize any human being who's conscious and loving into calling them a failure. If I can't do that to any of them, I can't do that to me. At the same time, I wouldn't coddle someone's feeling if they're participating in a system of oppression. I would let them know they need to replace those tools or these understandings they have. Therefore, that is also what I will tell myself. Does that click? And I think from that understanding, you don't know how many other people are doing this work around you. And that's where the mistrust is coming. Or maybe on the surface it seems like they were because you met them at a rally or met them at a benefit show. And then you realize that under the banner, under the flag that the Philistine flag that they hung up, and the hashtag that they had, and the donation check that they deposited, and the people that they were able to bring on in the background, it's the same corruption that happens in white nonprofits. It's the same corruption that happens in the military industrial complex, and that breaks your heart. Breaks your heart. That is a bit of like, okay, I knew not to trust the law. I knew not to trust schools. I knew not to trust the news. And now I feel like I can't trust this protest group. Now I feel like I can't trust this artist group. Now I feel like I can't trust this friend. That's tough. I think for a lot of people the past week or two that happened. I just messaged that to someone I love. Hania, that makes my heart so happy. That makes my heart really, really happy. And I hope you message that to yourself too. By the way, I didn't mean to wear pink last time and this time. I thought that was interesting. But I noticed that because of the pink heart that you sent. I wonder if there's anyone who knows like some of the spiritual messages behind colors or something, if they want to talk to me about that later. But you do too, Hanea. Thank you. We need that in this time. We need that in this time so much. Hanea said, you make my heart so happy. I was even shy reading that out loud. Thank you so much. And you've made, just with that message and your presence when we connected, you've made my heart very happy too. Y'all, it's really, I know it sounds really naive to say it, and I might cry when I say that. It's really not that hard to maintain integrity. Can I say that at least to the people who will hear it? To maintain integrity, if you're an artist, hi, the one person who is here on YouTube. If you're a person who is an artist, who is an activist, who is a reader, who is a teacher, it might be hard as far as the life or the real world consequences, or putting your life at threat or someone's life at threat, or all the way to like your income at threat, which is a slow way of putting your life at threat. And you have to make those calculations. But to be honest with you, stated integrity is not that hard. Like, don't compromise your integrity to maintain a position. Please don't. Don't compromise your integrity. And this is a tough message. It's the second message. Don't compromise your integrity and mistake that for reparations. It's one of the hardest messages. It's very hard to say out loud because it's completely valid to lose trust with everyone right now. Honestly, or almost everyone, not everyone, with a lot of people right now, because of how silent the world is about an ongoing genocide that by now everyone knows is such, or almost everyone knows is such, within the heart of the country / empire colony that's perpetuating in the United States. And then to see that this is what we thought when that happens, it's gonna stop, and it happened and it didn't stop. If anything, the retaliation got worse because the word is out. That's heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. That was something that a lot of people didn't know was going to be the case. There was at least a hope that it might slow down or maybe stop, or maybe this is when Palestine will begin to be free, begin to be given back. The opposite happened. That's tough. That's tough. On top of that, people have been talking about the genocides in the Congo and in the Sudan. I was talking about what's happening in Sudan from April, not tooting my own horn, but I'm also part Palestinian from my great-grandmother, and my great-grandfather is Sudanese. So the grandparent generation raised us on not forgetting that. And I grew up close to my grandparents. And I was in Egypt. I grew up in Egypt right between the two. So I'm not trying to claim any arrogance here. And I was a history teacher. So I'm not, again, it feels like my job to spread word about those things. I'm not claiming any arrogance. The people didn't listen until the word about Philistine got out. And then people found out other interconnected places. These are all things that wear at our trust for each other. However, if we think that I don't trust anybody, therefore I'm going to cuss once. Sorry if I do that. Fuck the world. I'm going to rob from this person. He's more privileged than me anyways. You know what I mean? Nalu, thank you so much. I miss you guys a lot. First visit to Portland, I'm definitely going to be at Nalu. Shout out to Nalu, where I had my start um, as an in-person reader. Thank you so much, Nalu, for believing in me for like 3 whole years. Um, Beautiful space. I'm having flashbacks. You know what I mean, though? Like, and I used to actually, that was one of the hardest messages to deliver to students was, if you've been wronged in the world, please don't take that as an excuse to be like, well, fine, I'm around this place. Fine, I'm gonna, like, when you have been wronged, especially systemically, and you don't have faith in people believing you or listening to you, it can be very hard to maintain faith in yourself. And being a good person and maintaining faith in yourself are synonymous. You can't convince me otherwise. If you build your life on theft, if you build your life on oppression, if you build your life on supremacy, you don't have faith in yourself. You might be benefiting more in the moment. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to knock that. You might be benefiting way more in the moment financially, or as far as your safety, or as far as whose face gets to be known and so on. But you could be having access to 30 times the whatever it is you're known for, the innovation, the creativity, the safety, if you believed in yourself and let go of your supremacy. That's a problem with what happened with, rest in power Aaron Bushnell as a martyr. With Aaron Bushnell, his life could have been saved if more people of his demographic cared. He was overcompensating, right? He was overcompensating. If more people, Aaron Bushnell was literally an American citizen, white male in his mid 20s. That's his prime. But he was overcompensating for the overwhelming number of people in his experience of being human who don't give a crap. You want to save his life? Care. The same week that he was, people kept debating the 30,000 number, keep debating the 30,000 number. The same week that he protested with his life, the 30,000 number was confirmed. 25,000 women and children. So he was overcompensating. You want to save his life? Give a damn. It's that simple. It's that simple. You want to save his life and the now confirmed, no more longer debatable 30,000? Give a damn. And until then, acknowledge how less of a trust you have for this world. It's a beginning. It's not because you're being a bad person. It's not because you're being evil. It's not because you don't care about humanity. You're being mistrusting of this world because you've realized how much of it is built on a silent, I'm doing my job form of supporting evil. Does that make sense? So embrace that mistrust, honestly. Embrace that mistrust. It's okay to have that mistrust, and it's going to narrow who you're close with. And at the same time, don't let that mistrust motivate you to undergo retaliation as a form of reparation. It will not repair anything. I had to carry that. It's been a long time since I shared that message, but with my youth, with my students, that used to be an almost daily conversation. How to replace their will to and honestly, like on some level they are fighting, on some level they are resisting, they are fighting. If they steal from the rich neighborhood, they are. And at the same time, I feel like for those of us who hold a higher standard than whatever people see you as, if people like you or people don't like you, people see you as a good person or as a bad person, if your higher standard is liberation rather than whatever reparation I can get in the moment, I think you will try to hold out for another action. I think you will try to hold out for another action. And some of us are on both ends of that. What I mean by that is, you could be the wealthier person in a family that is experiencing systemic abuse, for example. And I think it becomes very important of you to like willingly share, and at the same time not like, it's a fine line if you don't accept deception from your family members, or don't accept feeling like a family member wants to rob you or anything like that. But also, it's your fault if you didn't volunteer to share from the beginning. I'm sorry. It's your fault if you didn't recognize that you benefited from an inequality within your family, even though you all experienced the same inequality. You could have done something systemically to uplift that family. Does that make sense? Take your time. Take your time, love. Big love to you and to the kiddo. I don't want to disclose like your name online. I try to be aware of that, but I miss you a lot. I'll see you soon. Does that make sense, y'all? So be careful what end of these karmic debts you're part of. Be hyper aware and merciful with yourself and with others what end of these karmic debts you're part of, because that's how we get divided and let the larger institutions that are exploiting us win. When we either have enough to the point that we can share on some level, but we feel like it's been so long that I've been starving or this or that, so now that I have it, I'm not going to share, or at least I need to wait to share. When, you could at least balance some kind of sharing in a way that makes you feel like I've gotten this wealth on the back of other people anyway, so it's my duty to give back. And if you're starving, if you're suffering in silence right now, I know it's hard, but try with all your might, to hold on to your humanity. And not for others, not because you owe it to anyone to be the beacon of humanity, but just for you. Honestly, like just for you, because that's what you survived with. And know that bigger wealth awaits on the other end of you, on the other end of your existence, on the other end of you being here, than knowing that because I've been wronged, I'm going to find smaller ways to wrong someone around me. Please, these are the tactics with how they divide us. These are the tactics with how they divide us. The mistake of scale. I'm not as evil as the oppressor with my lying or with my stealing. I'm doing it on a smaller scale. That's literally. Or I'm not doing it with like a larger number of people. I'm only doing it to a few people within my own community. This is literally how we get got. I think that was really the second message. Like, acknowledge your heartbreak, acknowledge the fact that you have lost a lot of trust for a lot of people, and at the same time, hold it within the bigger picture of liberation, not the smaller insecurities that it could come with right now, whether the insecurity is to hoard or to take. Can I get, I want to make sure, is what I'm saying, is it making any sense? Like whether it's a heart or a comment, or I'm not sure, or that felt unclear, or even I disagree. If anyone wants to hop on the live, let me know what you think of that. And also, hi again to the one person. I wish I can see who's on. I can see who's on IG, but I can't see who's on YouTube often. Thank you all. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I have one more message, and then I'm gonna start to see if anyone wanted a reading. Someone also donated for a reading in advance. Actually, shout out to you. So I'm waiting until you join as well. I think the next reading is gonna be that the next collective message is gonna be exhausting but really beautiful. Thank you all so much. I've been a mush since 2020. I've been a mush. Used to not cry, and now I'm a mush. Anyways, your family is coming. Your family is coming. I think some of you already know what that message means, and some of you might want an elaboration. But if you've been in a period of being extremely careful with who you welcome in your personal sphere, and that lack of trust, that rising mistrust for this world is taking over, and you feel like you really wonder, will this be a new degree of solitude? How are we going to organize if I'm this lonely, and if I feel this less aligned with the people around me. I'm gonna pause and respond to that after I read TN's comments to both. So TN, your comments are acknowledge our limits. Oh my God, yes, acknowledge our limits and how far we push our capacity. Yes. See how much of our capacities we're giving, and understand that even if we can't change everything, there are still things we're changing. That's so true. That's so true. You know, you actually helped me really understand something. Thank you so, so much for that. This lack of trust can lead to, like I said before, um, feeling like I can allow myself to overly take in certain situations. But honestly, it can allow me to even overly give because I don't trust my judgment anymore. I don't trust that I can be responsible with the resources I have anymore. This world is so corrupt, and money's so corrupt, and food is so corrupt. Who am I to trust myself with what I have? I might as well give away all of it. That's also a lack of trust. And that's also an abuse, but instead of abusing someone else, I'm abusing myself. I wouldn't have not come to that conclusion if you didn't say that, Tian. Thank you so, so much. Acknowledging your capacity and acknowledging your limit. It's okay if we felt that, like, let's say if I made a mistake of thinking my capacity was less than what it is now, I'm capable of so much more than I thought. And now I'm realizing that that doesn't mean that I should completely mistrust my idea of having a capacity and run myself dry and then either get sick and die or lash out at someone and perpetuate the very injustices that I'm working against because I'm exhausted. Does that make sense, y'all? And either way, I'm a victim and I forgive myself and I love myself and I'm gonna respect my capacity. It's so hard. It's so hard. On the other end of someone who doesn't respect their capacity is someone who takes too much. And I hate to say it too because like we live in a world where the idea of taking too much, I mean literally look at capitalism. It's seen as a human value. It's seen as it's been elevated to the stature of a value. So someone could be more systemically oppressed than me and literally rob me and I don't know how to respond. Because on the one hand, if they rob me, I rob them systemically to put them in that place. But on the other end, did them robbing me rectify anything? That's, I can't even answer that one. I literally can't. And I'm someone, I'll be very honest, I've been on both ends of that. I've been on both ends of that. I don't think I've robbed someone, but I've been on like, um, I've been on the end of like being taken from by someone who's far more advantaged than me and having someone who's less advantaged than I am take from me unjustly, and I'm like, I get it. And at the same time, I'm gonna rise from that in a way that sets boundaries and capacities, because I don't know if me withering is going to solve anything. I don't think it will. I want to keep thinking of ways where less and less and less of us wither away. Now, that also means that, like Tupac was saying, I saw the video recently, there's no way that people like, he was very open. He was like, there's no way that someone like Michael Jackson should have the money he has when people can't find a home and a shelter. I wish we all thought like him. It was a beautiful video. He was saying, if I'm wearing jewelry or if I have like 3 stacks in my pocket and I walk by someone who doesn't, I'm not going to give a quarter or a dollar. I'm going to give more. Thank you, Tupac. Thank you, Tupac. This is how you make sure that your conscience is clear so that even if someone robs from you, whether they're more advantage or less advantage of you, you know you've done the right thing and you've respected your capacity. Now, don't give all the 3 stacks if you need to like feed your mom when you go home or something. But yeah, don't also give a dollar. Take like a certain percentage. That's one thing I love about Islam. Islam has like a percentage for everything financially, a percentage for what you give your children, a percentage for, I remember the Adha holiday. That's the holiday, the 4-day holiday to commemorate Abraham's sacrifice. And where at least in Islam, a lamb was sent instead of sacrificing Ishmael. And I know in Christianity, Isaac was sacrificed or something. But anyways, you get the lamb and you split it in three: a third for your family, a third for a neighbor, and a third for someone who's hungry. The neighbor in 2020, the neighbor for me was a Black Lives Matter protest. You can interpret that anyways. It was my brother who got the lamb. I didn't have the resources to get a damn lamb and do all that. But the third, I don't know, one of the thirds he gave to me. I'm like, let's get some curry, let's cook it up. And I couldn't protest at the time as much as I could before because of my back disability. So I'm like, let's put some meals out. Like, there's so many ways to be part of that equity. I'm not going to eat a whole third, even though at the time my food, I was a lot more food secure back then than now. Actually, I was food secure back then, so it makes sense that I did that. Now I'm not, so it might not make sense to give the whole third. And it doesn't mean that I, don't believe in the cause any less. But back then I had food, so I was like, the third's gonna go to the protest and so on. The more you live your life like that, the more you feel like you can stand on your own 2 feet in the daily situations that you face, whether the habits of oppression are perpetuated on you by someone more or even less oppressed than you. Because these are the only roads we're told for so long we have to secure ourselves, our tools of oppression. This is how militias turn on their own people. The tools of oppression, we get sold that this is the only way that we will survive. We really gotta undo that. And at the same time, how can we be forgiving and loving and understanding when it happens? In the larger context of that, the actual oppressors are doing like proportionally a billion times more than whatever that your friend might have done to you. It's hard to decolonize. It's hard to decolonize. It's simple and easy, I think, to know what to decolonize. Like when people say like, oh, it's complicated or whatever about what's happening in Palestine, they've been saying that excuse for so long. I don't think any of what happens around us is complicated, but I do think sometimes that we as human beings get complicated because of all the things that live within us, if that makes sense. So our job is to ease ourselves and purify ourselves. Cat Williams talking about the universe banking system. Everything is an exchange, not an exploitation. Yeah. Cat Williams, he's one of the people that because I kind of, he really upset me recently. I'll be honest, I'm not gonna lie. And it's sad because the day before I found out what he said, I'm like, who really reminds me of my father? My father is one of the dearest people in my entire lifetime. Cat Williams. I don't know why, just something about his honesty. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. And then I remembered he said some things about the Iraq War and in support of American imperialism back in the day that really bothered me. But I'm like, he said that back in the day, it probably changed. And then his interview, the interview that went viral recently, had a clip. And it was actually, shout out to her, I forgot her name. She's so awesome. She's a Black Muslim blogger, and she talks specifically about traveling from a decolonizing perspective, like travel blogging, but deconstructing it. She's so beautiful. No, sorry, it's not. It's a lot of people don't know. But he said she exposed him because he said something about how he was just using it as a metaphor about all the people that he's exposing. He's carpet bombing them, like the way Gaza's being carpet bombed. Like he used the whole genocide as a metaphor. And that actually speaks directly to the message I'm channeling, by the way. This is someone who grew up with some of the harshest intersections of oppression. A young Black male in the heart of the empire. At a time when being of that experience didn't mean what it means even now. As oppressed as that would be now. But because of his access to celebrity, that's an access to whiteness. Because of his access to celebrity, he's able to live a reality that uses the genocide in Gaza as a metaphor for his life conditions. And that's brutal. Because of his access to celebrity in the past, he's able to aspire to doing a set that looked like the White House. Instead of distancing himself from it, instead of growing to distance himself, he grew to represent it. My graduate thesis, Lady B, I love that I did that thesis. It was about this really awesome. I wish I could show his image, but I'm using both devices. But look up Ahmed Zaki. I'm gonna write his name here. Ahmed Zaki. It's a really interesting case study. Ahmed Zaki. I'm gonna write his name here too for the one viewer. And just look up his picture. So Ahmed Zaki was one of the biggest celebrities in Egypt until he passed away in 2005. He was visibly, I mean, Egypt doesn't have the same terms that we have here in the West, but at least by universal standards, he would be considered a Black Arab, a Black Egyptian man, right? When he first rose to fame, first in the 80s, it was a lot of independent movies. It was the beginning of capitalism in Egypt really taking over, was the 80s with a president who was also a black Arab president who unfortunately actually undid a lot of the colonization in Egypt by favoring capitalism and by doing the first peace treaty with the Zionist entity. So he's not very loved because he didn't fight for full sovereignty. He sort of like followed the rules of the West halfway. And he was the last person that people expected to have done that because he was literally he started out as a Black Arab truck driver. He was a working class man. Everyone thought he was gonna decolonize the whole region, and by that I mean like Arab and African alliances. And he did the exact opposite and then was assassinated. And during that time, a lot of like films, like DIY films, are made, B-rated movies, that kind of vibe. And this is when Ahmed Zaki rises to fame. Egypt, with its own colorism and its own forms of uh, internalized colonialism, used to favor Arab actors that were like Omar Sharif, for example, who presented as racially ambiguous or more white, and not even like like everyday Egyptian men who Egyptians, like Palestinians, by the way, because of that region, we tend to present as primarily brown but also black and also white because we're literally in the center of the three continents. My family, as a mixed family, has we have very different experiences from each other, and that's a whole other life. But long story short, Ahmed Zaki at first, thank you for following this all the way through. Ahmed Zaki at first was the rebel. He was a soldier that went crazy by knowing the reality and started to shoot up his own platoon. He was the man, the Secret Service man who found out about the corruption of the government and therefore ended his own life. He was like all of these revolutionary or like characters that were disillusioned and then became like, whoa. And that's how he rose to fame, because he was a new face. He looked like a lot of Egyptian men, unlike the other stars. And he was very anti-government, anti-establishment. These were his roles. Then he became famous. Then guess what happened? He started to play all of the Egyptian presidents. He started to play all of the nationalist, um, roles, most of whom didn't look like him. But he started to be respected and revered as someone who played them. Then he passed away from health complications. He was a phenomenal actor. He was an amazing actor. But his career went from being anti-establishment to, within his fame, being like the face of the establishment. And establishments do that. He grew up an orphan. He grew up very poor. Dad remembers him in Cairo. He was homeless. He used to be the errand boy. He used to do light the hookah for people and get humiliated for his looks. And then he became one of the most admittedly handsome people in the entirety of Egypt. Women would swoon over him. All of the hottest women in our Hollywood became his number twos. And with that came either the pressure or the responsibility or maybe the threat, God knows, to go from motivating people to question authority to becoming its face and dramatizing it. Then he passed. Now that's reductive. He's had roles that, went outside of that dynamic, but that's kind of a trend. And I wrote the thesis about that, to write that like race masculinity in Egypt as an example of like how these institutions, maybe that's what happened with Cat Williams, I don't know. Like how these institutions ask you to be very monolithic because you start out in life unraveling your end of what's holding us back from your end, right? But then they might like give you a prize for it and tell you, have a prize for however much of the end you talked about, but don't keep unraveling, because that's going to bring in this end. They're going to be your allies, and that's going to bring in this end, and that's going to bring in that end, and that's going to humanize you more. That's going to show how your identity can speak to everybody, not just people who share your identity. That's too much power for you. So take this power and speak for only this much of your identity, but don't humanize yourself any further. And they do that. And I think on a smaller scale, if we end up wronging each other, we're doing that too. Especially if it's conscious, especially if we say, I've been wronged enough. Let me rob this person just one time. Let me be mean to this one person just one time and excuse it. Let me do this, let me do that. And at the same time, that does mean that this is a really, 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 really freaking unfair expectation that we're putting on trans bodies, on queer bodies, on black bodies, on Palestinian bodies, on especially people from Gaza right now. We are putting an ungodly expectation. And I'd rather live with that pain. The more of a good person you try to be, the more you live with that pain. Because you realize how hard it is to be a good person all the time. It's freaking hard. Being a good person is not meant to be a luxury. It's meant to make you feel good. It's meant to make you feel like, holy shit, I'm carrying all of this and you want me to be good. And the people I know in my life are carrying 10, 20, 50, 80, 1,500 times more than me just to walk outside, grab some flour, or pick a ride, some whatever. I'm expecting them to be good. It's supposed to let you burn more. So by being good, I mean don't rob. I don't mean don't be angry. Be angry is being good. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And by the way, taking what's stolen from your back is not robbing. We all know the difference. I mean actually robbing. I mean actually like wronging. And I'm really talking about it. I'm really talking about the things we talk about in private. Taking what's stolen from you, that's not robbing. That's not robbing. So I'll be very honest with you. Organized looting or whatever, that's not robbing. I'm not talking about that. I mean actually stealing from your friend privately. That's what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? I should clarify those things because I know what world we live in. That's my personal. When this Palestinian youth took the bulldozer and broke down the wall, they didn't steal that bulldozer. That bulldozer shouldn't be there. They took it over. That's different. That's different. And honestly, a lot of what I'm saying is applicable right now. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for hearing that, lady. A lot of what I know very few people, close with one in particular who's connected to Gaza, and people are having some of the most purest ethics right now. Like you would think this is a time when someone is like, who got flour, who got food, let me, somebody would like split the half of, I don't know what the word loma, how to translate loma, like a piece of bread they have, and we'll split that with an animal, man. Like people who can have every excuse to just punch their neighbor in the face. Not that. They're not doing that. They're literally, I saw this video, I think I talked about it last time too, the 6-year-old talking to his cat, and with how hungry this child is. There's images of the child that passed away from hunger this morning, that was killed from hunger this morning, but he's talking to his cat, and he's talking about like, how, paraphrase, I'm happy that you're with me, and that I brought you with me, while we're being bombed. But if we die, I really hope that you will die with me. I hope that we will all die together. I don't want to die and you survive, because then you'll eat me. If that happens, please don't eat me. Go eat someone you don't know. So that's the extent of kindness and of humanity that's happening with this child. He's still holding that cat. He's still hugging that cat. He's still loving that cat. That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. The live is gonna end in 1 minute, so I'm gonna close and come right back. Every hour it gets what's it called? It has like a time limit. So I love you all very much. If you can join me, I'm gonna hop right back on and I'm gonna take your questions. No one's gonna be turned away for lack of fun. So if you donated, thank you so much. I'm gonna get to you next. If you didn't, please still feel free to ask a question. I'm gonna channel for you. There is one more message that needs to be channeled collectively, but I'm gonna give it some time. I'm gonna wait a little bit. If you have to go, I don't take for granted that I shared a single moment with you. I hope we don't take for granted that we have a single moment of life on this sometimes hellish place. But sometimes miraculously just like good place. I don't know why we're here, but thank you for being here. And it means a lot that you're here. Not just here on the live, but that you're freaking here. And I hope you keep making the most of being here. You stay. I'll be back. All right, everybody, we're back. Thank you so much for those who joined before. Thank you so much for those who are joining right now. Thank you so much for those who are joining on YouTube. I'm gonna keep this up for a while. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with some collective messages. Actually, maybe some messages for the people that are here. Maybe I should do that. Let's do that. There is one more message that I wanted to share that is collective. Maybe I'll share it briefly. Okay. I'm going to share one more message. It's collective briefly, but then I'll either start pulling cards for the specific 4 people, 5 people that are here, or feel free to post your question. I promise no one will be turned away for lack of funds. Symphonics Live, I miss you very much. Phenomenal artist in New York and someone who has really helped shape my early journey, and I'm very, very grateful for you. Passaflora, oh my God, thank you so much for being here. So many beautiful people who really influenced me. Passaflora, amazing, amazing performer. Thank you for all that you do for the Portland scene. Portland could never without you, seriously, and thank you. Even if you left, I think you left, but I'm not sure. The last message that I wanted to say, and I was really shocked in some way by this is the only part for me, honestly, that was shocking about Aaron Bushnell. May he rest in power. I really think that Palestine will be liberated and other spaces that are interconnected when the armies turn against the governments and not against the people. I could get in serious trouble for sharing that message, but I just want you to know that armies turn against the people, police turn against the people. At least that's the limit to their power that's always there. When they decide to organize and turn against the government, to hold the government accountable instead of the people, think about what's happening in even the Sudan with what different armies are doing. And when more of the US Army, when different army people align themselves with the people's will, that's what started to happen in Egypt, and then they took over again. But long story short, just take it or leave it. This was a channeled message. I don't even know if it's true or not. But let's observe together what's going to happen as we keep on resisting, and as I keep on resisting for every single life here. And I know that you will too, for me and for others. I love you, Genevieve. Thank you for joining. I'm going to go ahead and channel messages for the 5 people that are here. If you have a specific question, no one will be turned away for lack of funds. I'm suggesting $15. I'll donate part of it to friends who are trying to get their families out of Rafah and keep some for myself to sustain myself. Other than that, ask your questions away. My Venmo is the same as my Instagram. And here are some messages for the 5 people that are here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I promise to deliver messages that are in the collective's highest good towards your safety, security, abundance, flourishing, well-being, ethics, and flourishing. Really, genuine flourishing in this lifetime. I'll deliver these messages faithfully as humanly possible. If I know them, I will not judge them, and I will say them. If I don't know them, I'll say I don't know. And I'm going to put my stories aside so I can be my best channeling self from the collective here. I mean, so I think that a lot of you are responding to the isolation that you have been made to feel with actually isolating. So what I mean by that is feeling isolated from the people around you. Big blessings to you, Heart of Oak. Always, always, always. Thank you for sharing this live earlier. I saw you. So a lot of you here have intentionally isolated in response to a feeling of isolation that's been happening for the past several months. But I think also you found a couple of new people. Some of you are finding a couple of new people that are saving grace, or that maybe made you feel like I did the right thing isolated because I made room for those few people that really aligned with me to come into the picture. And again, as I said earlier in the collective messages, it's completely okay if you feel a larger sense of mistrust right now, that you're taking a much longer time to introduce someone to your life or even to respond to their message. Maybe a part of you is feeling guilty about it, but you're honoring a new pace of your heart in light of the times that you live in and the impact by it that you feel from your end of the thread. And you want to make sure that every person that you join in your life is going to grab that end of the thread with you, is going to pull and tug and heave. And this is how you will fall in love, by doing that together. So you're waiting to know who you can do that with. And that's very, very reasonable. I think that whatever process of loneliness that you're feeling right now is going to end very soon. For a lot of you, it is going to be one or a few more people in your life. So I don't have to interpret that as a romantic partner just because it's one person. It might be that, but I think it can also be one new friend, one new job, one new comrade, one new collaborator. So have faith in the smaller team and what the smaller team can do. We want big numbers, yes, but not in a way that's detached from how each and every single life, each and every single human being is present and honored and honoring. If that makes sense. You're going to have a beautiful team coming your way. Small but powerful. I think that a lot of you are doing a lot of applications for things you've never applied to before. You might have never applied to a grant before, and now you're applying to grants. You might have never applied to jobs in a certain field or in a certain career before, and now you're applying for that. You might have never applied to a visa or a passport, and you're applying for that right now. Know that all of these applications are coming from very pure intentions that have been with you for a long time. So even if you look at your resume and you're like, it doesn't match this thing I'm applying to, or even if you look at your resources and you feel like, why am I even getting the passport right now? I still can't travel for a while. Just have faith in the fact that that step that you're taking with the application process, even if it is new in and of itself, it's in the context of your old soul and your ancestral gifts and what you're here to bring. and have every bit of confidence in describing yourself when you're putting in that application. I'm gonna do one last collective message for the people that are here, and then I would love to hear any feedback from you if one of them resonated, or two, or all of them, if none of them resonated, or if you have a specific question. I think, again, just the isolation and the sadness. I think a lot of you are going to have friends in faraway places. So whether these are friends that you form online, or whether you end up leaving where you are, maybe it's even someone that you follow, that you feel far more connected to than you've ever felt connected to someone that you followed online in your life. I think it's very important for you to know that your connection to the world is much bigger than just where you are. It's much, much bigger than just where you are, than your neighborhood. And the younger we are, the more we tend to be sold on like our local environment. And yes, that also entails access to the internet and so on. But at the same time, realize that like the people who are thinking of you and the people who are here with you and aligning with you don't all have to be just local to you. I got you, Angela. I got you, and I miss you, dear. I got you, love. I'm doing a suggested donation on the Venmo, but no one will be turned away for lack of funds. So feel free to post in the chat what your question is, and I got you. But again, for the last message, and then I'd love to hear your feedback. What to be very direct about that? All right, I described someone. Someone was talking to me recently about how they're getting to meet someone new. I wonder what happened with them, as a couple, right? Like they're trying to be a couple, and one of them was describing like the zodiac signs, and the other one is saying, "I don't believe in any of that." And I was told to kind of like, "What do you think?" And I was talking about how, at least in my view, I hold it lightly, but I do see its influence in the same way that like I grew up in a very specific neighborhood in Cairo, Egypt, right, called Madinat Nasr. Madinat Nasr, or Nasr City, has a big influence on me, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm identical to every other person in Nasr City. So it's the same thing. The location of the stars has some relation to you, even though it can't predetermine exactly who you are. But it did influence you. So please know that your influence is bigger than your neighborhood. If you feel alone in your neighborhood, if you feel alone in your city, if you feel alone in the people that are directly around you, please try to look outside of that. I think there's going to be mass movements coming up, not just for the people that are forced and displaced. I think a lot of people in unprecedented numbers will choose to leave Western countries and even countries outside of the West. I can see it coming. So even if it's, I mean, I don't know what shape it will take, but just know that your space and your love and your tribe are bigger than, it doesn't have to be completely closed off to where and even when you are, if that makes sense. Reading is an act of resistance, and reading is also an act of finding yourself. If you're reading about another era that has more answers than the people around you right now, that's also your reach and also your community. So these were the messages. I am taking questions, Angela, just a little bit, just if you want to hold on tight just a little bit longer. So these were the collective messages I have so far. I just want to get feedback on them, and then I'll read for you. So just 1 second, love, hang tight. So out of the messages that I shared so far, I'd love to hear from the people in the chat. Just did it, or if you want to even join the live, did it resonate? You can do like a heart, a thumb up, a yes. If it didn't resonate, you can say not really. That's completely fine. So I'll just wait a little bit for any feedback. Thank you, Genevieve. I got yours already. I see the heart. Thank you all so much. I got you, Angela. I got you for sure. I got you on the reading. Just 1 second, dear. Let me get some feedback first. All right, I like the song that's playing. So, Angela, let me know what your questions are, dear. I am going to really recommend If you have funds left, if it's comfortable for you to just drop something in Miriam Melodic on Venmo if you have funds. If you don't, I know I can read some tension around that, so that's okay. No one will be turned away for that, and it's gonna stay private whether you donate it or not. I'm not gonna say a word. I'm gonna keep that private. I'm suggesting 15 per reading, but it doesn't matter. It can even be a tip or it can be nothing. And if what I'm sensing is right, I'm not gonna share whether you donated or not. Just feel free to post a question, love. And while you do, check out this peaceful poster, y'all. I think the last one had what I wake up to in my room. The minute I wake up, the first thing I see is the map of Palestine, and right above me is a photo of James Baldwin and Nina Simone, and it has my dad's sibha and my sibha. And I'm really grateful I have a home. For Jonavi, I feel all of that, and I feel the ways that the new things are expanding and feeling expansive possibilities, even within some of the loneliness, and re-examining my places in the world and with others. I really love that, and I think that's really what freedom work is. I think we should be like very. I want to encourage us and myself too to be very like brazen and claiming that freedom. That's a sense of freedom. Um, there's a difference between feeling like expensiveness because I can afford a plane here and I can do, like because of like material access that some people had, and feeling expansiveness because we're interconnected. That's not a privilege, that's a human quality. That expansiveness that comes from interconnectedness is not the expansiveness that comes from privilege. It's the one that comes from wanting this access for everybody and believing that it is inherent to every single life. And that's different. And that comes with lifting the veil off of the things that were holding us back, whether they were internal or social. And Tian, I love seeing people that I love and care about talk to each other. Um, Tian saying to Janavi, seconding this, seeing the coming expansive chants and inner movements gives me some joy for exoduses. Yeah, absolute for change. I like that exoduses and change. Oh, expansive chance and expansive change. I love that. Valedictorian, what's up? What's up? One Kima. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for the feedback. I appreciate you. These messages really meant a lot for me. And by the way, a lot of them, like, I might have a sense of them before I go on live, but I don't have a full sense of them until I'm with you. So this is a gift to me, too. That's when you know it's genuine. Like, when it's like it's the same as teaching, the same as poetry, the same as anybody here who offers a gift to others. Yes, we do our homework and yes, we prepare, but we know that there's an iteration of it that can't happen without the people involved, and that's incredibly precious. That's liberation work. That's why none of us know it all. And at the same time, I want to reiterate the message that came up about like if you're starting with a very small team, don't be hard on yourself. Don't feel like I should be joining big numbers right now. You can still join big numbers with the integrity of like sharing your closest like heart's process with a smaller number just for now until we as collectives can build that trust on a larger scale, like we're joining with our bodies, with our signatures, with our money in larger numbers as much as we can with our presence. And your deepest decolonization, it's completely okay if you're only doing that with one or two people. That's completely okay. That doesn't make you any less like it's a tough world to find people that share the same intention and integrity and purity with you. They're out there, but we're all jaded. It's hard to find each other, and we'll start with smaller numbers in that sense, in the private decolonization sense. Can I be honest with you too? Some of it is completely fair because I don't think some of it we should bother everybody with. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm close with a couple of people from Gaza. Think I bother them with some of the shit I'm decolonizing, be it from Egypt and living in the West for a long time? That'd be freaking unfair. I need to find people of a similar experience to decolonize that with. Does that make sense? And vice versa. If I have a friend who is, let's say, born and raised in the West, and try to decolonize certain things with me, sometimes it does feel heavy. Like there's a level of closeness that sometimes, especially if they're white or white presenting, that I feel like they might need to process that part with someone else. Being very honest, being very straight up with you. You know, it's completely, it will make us stronger and stronger collectives and bring us closer together if we're responsible with not just like waiting for who can be closest to us, but like responsible if we have the option of being close with 5 people and we choose to be close with only 3, not necessarily because we don't trust the other 2, or we feel like the other 2 have like a full plate right now. That's completely fair. That's beautiful. That's mercy. That doesn't make you any less of doesn't make you an individualist or any. It just makes you like responsible with what kind of collectives you're building until you feel the pulse and see who you can be ethically close with. That's completely fine. And sometimes it will surprise you. Sometimes you'll be very close with someone who systemically would be far more advantage or far less advantage than you. But you both see each other's humanity enough and have built enough of a foundation that you can be best friends or a couple. That'll happen too. But like, it's completely fair to pace it out and to be close with very few people while still believing in the power of the people, is the collective message being channeled right now. Thank you so much, Tian. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for that. Let me see. I also didn't get the question from you yet, Angela. But you're totally fine to post your question, love. You're totally fine to post your question. I'm gonna double check. I don't know how the screen is gonna look, but I wanna double check and have, oh my god, Falahi Punk. I miss you and I love you. I'm gonna start with Tian. Let's see. Hi, cousin. Hiding. My cousin is hiding. Anyways, I love my cousin so much, y'all. Anybody who's your family is a gift. Is a gift. Anybody who's your family is a gift. I miss you and love you, chosen family. I miss you. Falahibak a lot. A lot. We'll reunite one day. We'll reunite one day. And Palestine will be free one day. Falahi Punk, amazing Palestinian artists. Everybody, please follow them right now. Everybody, please follow them right now. Tian, let's do your reading. Okay, as I always say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's see. I wish I could describe it to people. I know some people understand what's happening. Some people like scratch their, like, what is she doing? I can feel those thoughts. Tian, there is one message that's probably private that I probably should message you, like in more detail. Like I can't even see it fully. It also can just be, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, alhamdulillah, I have what I need right now. There's some struggles this year, probably more than ever, for me, from my privilege level with finance, but alhamdulillah, I'm well. I ate today, but my stomach is a little bubbly, so I could be projecting, but there's something around, I think it's actually hitting both. Like there's something around the stomach that's coming through, and it might be either like hunger, or it might be even like carrying a child, or someone around you carrying a child. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna just try to remember to message you privately about that, because that feels too private. But those are the two things that are coming up. Cosmo, I miss you a lot. Shout out to Cosmo. Cosmo's a phenomenal dancer. Everybody please follow Cosmo. Everybody please follow Cosmo. And I can't believe I didn't say it this time. Everybody please follow Janavi. I said it last time, but that's not enough. Janavi is a phenomenal musician. Out of this world phenomenal musician, and all the songs are channelings. Please follow them. Yeah, I think that like Tian, I think there's like, Thank you, Tian. Thank you for that confirmation. I love you too, Cosmo. A lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Tian, I really think that your family is gonna grow soon. I don't, you know, okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's something, yeah, I felt the hunger. I felt the hunger. I felt like big changes in the stomach area. Hi, Noel. Noel, Habiba, big hug. Big hug. You changed your photo. Sorry, we got disconnected for a bit, but I hope everybody can hear me. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for confirming that, Tian, because I did feel a lot of changes in the stomach area. Um, it might affect concentration and it might affect like arm. I don't know. I feel something around your arms, like arm movement being different. I don't know if you play an instrument, if you play like keys, but whatever it is that you do with your hands to like um, just if you need to hear that, I don't know if you do or not, but like having a lot of self love around like your hands not being, you're very proud of something that you do with your hands sometimes, even if you don't do it all the time. And knowing that your hands needs like your hands are gonna need to be slower sometimes, and just having some mercy with them, like knowing that it's not you being lazy or anything like that. And martial arts, it's beautiful. That's very, very beautiful. Definitely, yes, absolutely. Nawal, hit me up privately. I'm sorry about that, everybody. It seems like we got intercepted. Um, I might go ahead and remove this person. Sorry about that again. But yeah, no, please hit me up. No, let's schedule something. And Tiana, I just hope that your hands have been well first and foremost, but also like I feel like you might be pushing your hands whenever you feel like you're pushing your hands past their capacity to just like not think it's like anything internal or psychological. It might literally be just your hands being tired. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was what I felt. I felt like the need to rest. Hi, Chaylee. Thank you so much, Chaylee. On YouTube. I'm doing a reading here, but if you would like a reading, also feel free to respond in the chat. So I think another thing too that Tian, like I feel like a couple of messages are coming clearly, but I'm honestly feels like I'm the one blocking them. I think there's a lot that you want to do and that you put on yourself, and I think that's actually like really powerful. You want to go back to writing, and especially when it comes to liberation work, I think Palestine is inviting you, encouraging you to write again. I think also that there's one person in your life you're very close with, but you're not close in everything. You feel like you're very close with, but like you don't feel like you both are close in everything like you used to be. But you have a feeling that you just have a feeling that your practice of family and who you're family with, who you do family things with. I'm not gonna try to assume if it's like biological or. Sorry, I'm looking away. Just like focus. But I'll get to the. If there's any comments, I promise I'll get to them. But just being with you right now, Tian, who is family is gonna change a lot, and there I don't know, I keep feeling this like child, there might be a child involved or someone younger, but maybe that's just like a baby relationship in your family that's gonna grow, or with a sibling proximity with a sibling is gonna get more definitely know. And I'm gonna read for you after. um and last but not least, Tian, I think that like um I don't know. I feel like there's a way to do the things that you want to do privately first before on yourself the pressure to do it all publicly. And honestly, I feel like the thing I just said is something that I definitely got you, Chaylee. Definitely got you. There's one more person here. So after TM, there's Noel, and then Chaylee, I got you with a reading. I'm doing a suggested donation at Maryam Melodic on Venmo, but no one will be turned away for lack of funds, dear. Thank you so much. So okay, that's perfect. Okay. Yeah, it feels like it's your fiance. Honestly, if it's your fiance, I feel like this might be again private, but I feel like you both are gonna regain your closeness, if that makes sense. Like, I don't see, I see this. I see like a regaining. You were writing a song regarding Palestine a while ago. That's perfect. I think that, like, if you wanna, let's say, write songs about Palestine or write an article, like, I guess the message that came through without trying to tie it so much to your beautiful comments is feel free to like do some work privately for a while without feeling the pressure to do it publicly immediately. So if it is writing songs, feel free to practice privately first, or read songs of the Palestinian resistance that are in translation in English. Ask me, hey, like Maryam, can we meet up for a coffee in exchange for you translating like 3 songs for me that are like Palestinian songs into English. I'll be more than happy to do that. Hit me up. I'll be more than happy. It doesn't have to be organizing shows. It doesn't have to be like, at least for now, like that. Actually, I didn't even mean to say that, but I realized it ties to my previous conversation with you, which is, I swear I didn't mean that, but that's actually beautiful. The message entirely at first was like for you to not put on yourself the pressure because of the current moment. It's very valid that you feel I need to be publicly present. That's extremely valid. And at the same time, if you're building foundation for the long haul, that's also liberation work for Palestine. So if you're building foundation to inform the song that you will write in 5 months versus the one that you will write tomorrow, there's something else you can do tomorrow while you're building for the song in 5 months, if that makes sense. It's not, one doesn't take away from the other. I need to be private with my music more and let it grow, as well as I've been going into a period of focusing on private work. To be honest with you, at least I don't want to speak for any collective, but I would say for me, a lot of the people that I know who have done amazing liberation work, um, and even, I'll be honest with you, some of the stuff that I did that I'm most proud of, I'll never mention. Um, and sometimes going private is the way to go. And we can do other things simultaneously publicly. I love that this message came for you because it's very merciful. And for some people, it might be the opposite message. It might be, hey, you're ready um, with A, B, and C to go public or to release it. But I think for you, there's almost like an angel, or there are voices, there are collective voices that live in your heart, and they need time for you. Like, they're asking you to talk with them. There's a lot of children that are on your mind. It's about doing what you want to be able to go to sleep with yourself having done. Enough said right there. I'm gonna read that again so that everybody hears it. It's about doing what you. It's about doing what you'd want to be able to go to sleep with yourself having done. That's the reading I needed. See, and that concludes your reading. Please let me know what you think of it. Thank you so much for trusting me. You can let me know here privately. I'll try to, if you give me permission, I'll try to like process a little bit more of that beginning of the message and send you more information privately about it. And next, I know Noel, you just wanted like a general what I'm feeling for you, and then Chaylee, you're next. So Chaylee, if you want to put your question in the chat so that I have it ready, dear, please feel free to go ahead and do so. And thank you so much, Gian. Thank you for saying that. I'm really grateful for that. We're, you know, we're all in tune in the ways that we are and that we can be. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. So I'm gonna do as you said, just a general reading for you, Noel, and then if you have any like specific question, I'm gonna wait. Thank you, everybody who's still here. No particular question? Perfect. All right. Noel, do you speak Arabic? I mean, yeah, Noel, do you speak Arabic or am I projecting? Just because of your name. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Noel. You do? تمام. Okay. يعني احتمال هبقى code switching شوية. I'm gonna try to stick with English, but I might switch between the two. If it feels more right. Thank you, Tia. Blessings to you, blessings to your wife, just blessings to your whole family, blessings to your growing family, and I can't wait to continue to build with you. Thank you so much for that respect. Again, I'm just very grateful for you. Thank you. Have a great night. Big love to the family. I feel a great energy from Tia. I'm really grateful for you. It was a tough situation, and I barely knew them, and the way they listened to me, and I lost it. I wasn't the message I was saying earlier. I try to like not dump my crying or being mad, and like that's not fair. But I actually did the unfair thing with Tien, and they didn't take it that way at all, and I'm really grateful for that. And I rarely do that, but I'm really grateful for that. Love prospect. So before the love prospect, I did get a couple of messages. I got a quick message for you, Noel. بصي يا نوال، ما هقولها بالعربي. بتكلم مصري، يعني العربي بتاع مصري. فما اعرفش لو مفهوم ليكي ولا لا. انا عارفه اللغه العربيه مختلفه من دوله لدوله ومجتمع لمجتمع. ف بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يعني اول رساله سمعتها يعني ان الواحد ما ينفع ان هو يقلل من حجم قد ايه الظروف يعني الظروف الذل والظلم اللي حوالينا مأثر فيك انت شخصيا. انا حاسه ان انت مريتي بشيء، يعني انا ما اعتقدش انك، مش حاسه يعني ان يعني I could be wrong، بس مش شايفه مثلا انت عندك عيله بغزه or something like that، لكن حاسه ان انت مريتي باشياء يعني حتى لو في بلد اخرى كانت نوع من القهر ونوع من الظلم ونوع من المذله. And this is bringing up a lot for you, and honestly just giving you like a big energetic hug for that. That was the first thing I felt. And I felt like childhood age things. So let me know if that's true, or if again I'm projecting just because your name is Noel. That was Arabic, Shaylee. That was Arabic. That was Egyptian Arabic specifically. Tian, you too, big love to you. You're as we should all be when there's a rightful heart feeling a burning pain. Thank you for that. Good night. Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate you. I don't take that for granted. Thank you. Yeah, let me, yani, okay. I'm getting from the emojis that resonated. Thank you, Chaylee. I appreciate that, dear. And yeah. And so before you came, I got a message in for everyone. It was like a general message. In yani kullina. I miss you too. I miss you too. I know who that is. I miss you too. Jazair? Okay, perfect. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Inshallah, ربنا يكتبها علينا. And I go visit soon. I want to go visit all of our countries, really. All of North Africa and all of the Arabic speaking places, inshallah. All of East Africa, inshallah, في يوم من الأيام. A free Palestine, inshallah. كلنا ندعم السياحة في فلسطين الحرة قريب إن شاء الله. إن شاء الله مكتوبتنا. We all deserve that, man. They played with our heads with these borders. والله لعبوا فينا الحدود اللي رسموها من أقل من 100 سنة. الحدود دي كلها. المهم, let's go back to the reading. آمين يا رب, آمين. The message about love that I got for everyone here is Everyone here is going to have like one or two people that you're close with. Now that can mean a romantic partner. لكن في نفس الوقت it just means that it's not going to be about the number. It's not about how many people you're around. If you've been feeling lonely, by the way, if you see other people hanging out with 10, 20, 30 people, and you, let's say you recently immigrated, or you are an artist or anything, and you see other people having a party, and you look at yourself and you're like, I can count on my friends on one hand. Look around now, everyone became like you. SubhanAllah, isn't that interesting? Everyone else started to wake up and to have very few people that they're close to. I'm not saying that I wish that on anyone, but I'm just I'm saying, just like Chaley said on YouTube, quality over quantity. There is a re-examining of quality. I don't care how much you knew about this genocide for the past 75 years. I don't care how much you knew about what's been happening in Sudan since 2018. I'm not going to even say since April. I don't care, even if you currently have zero. There was a time recently where I had zero, or felt I had zero. I felt I had zero. It didn't turn out that it was zero. It did turn out that I wasn't right about that one. I had a couple more than zero, but I needed to feel that to re-examine who I'm close with. So big love to you, Chaley. Having zero right now, you have one. You have you. You know, you look around right now, and you're gonna see that a lot of other people are having fewer and fewer close friends or relationships. Some relationships have broken up. We're all re-examining what quality over quantity means. I don't care how much you knew. Again, don't want to speak for anyone, but even the people I know that are from, I'm not going to say from Palestine, from Gaza, the people you're close with, everybody, the people you're close with changed, because you're uncovering a layer of humanity, or a layer you already knew but applies on a deeper level more than before. So that added to that, I do think that there's romantically, is it specifically romantic for you, the one or two people you'll be close to or not? I'm trying not to use the cards. Let me see if I can focus first. And I'm reading all your comments, Shaylee. I got you. Thank you so much for that. I promise I'm going to read that in a little bit. Beautiful comment. And also, don't shortchange yourself on the question. Post your questions here. I think you lost a friend or two. I think you lost a friend who was a woman like you. I don't think you're as close to each other as you were before. I don't think it even happened too recently. It happened within like a year, maybe. And losing friendships hurt. They are a breakup. Please let me know if I'm wrong or not. And yeah, I agree, Janavi. So much about that is being revealed right now, even within ourselves. So much. But to add a little bit, and Portland the stuff, and you and I, we know Portland the stuff. But I will say, I think the more that you let go of that friend, it's and you've let go of them. But I feel like what I'm trying to say is, like, the more that you feel that you're not lacking anything by not having another sister that replaced that friend. I don't think a sister replaced that friend. You have a couple of people you hang out with, but nothing too deep. I think the more that you're like completely at peace with like you, your son, where you're at, the more that there is room for a guy to come in. I will say that. That's a general statement though. Is there a guy coming in? I'm sorry, I gotta use the card to be more specific. I don't know. I think the only message coming through is take your time. On the right path. Take your time and be open to other fathers. These are the only messages coming through. I'm sorry, I'm not getting a specific, like, sometimes very specific things have, like, subhanAllah, very, very specific. And I can't always say what they're about. It can be about a lover. It can be about a job. It can be, there were times where I swear I shocked myself. And these specifics, and shocked the person I read for, because 3 months later they were like, holy crap, it's like, as you said. But sometimes it does come general, and when it's general, it's like requiring faith. It's asking for more faith in a way. Not just you having faith in yourself, me having faith in myself as a reader, that I'm not a complete failure, that I did get something specific. I don't get anything specific about a lover, to be honest. I just get a general pattern that you're on the right path, and a general pattern to be open to other fathers. You're on the right path. I guess I did. Thanks for that. I guess these are two specifics. Yeah, thank you for being generous and calling those specifics. The first one is letting go of the sisters, the chosen sisters, the friends that didn't honor you. That they felt like they were using your energy or something, but they didn't want to call it that. Like, it's perfectly great that you let go of them, and to continue to let go of them makes room for good people in your life in general and a lover specifically. And then the second part is being open to more, to like a father. Like having faith that kids from different families can click and get along as a possibility. I hope that helped. And I mean, yeah, I got very specific images early in the reading, and I don't want to like do the history, the math. But yeah, just blessings to you for what you survived and how you understand the world from the lens of what you survived. And people who know that we all owe a lot of our life to the Algerian Revolution. Just want to say that. I just want to say that. I know it was messy and not like, yeah, give me a call. Give me a call. I know people glorify more, there were so many different actors, but some of the actors did things standing up for liberation in a way that we're still learning from. I wish more people studied. I should have taught the Algerian Revolution more when I was a teacher. That's something, if I go back to teaching, that's something I'll change. Let me know any feedback. Call me. I can share my number. I'm really grateful for everybody I reconnect with doing this work. I'm trying not to reveal that I'm wearing, I like almost never wear like anything short, but if you're in Florida, you know it's hot today. It's very, I know a couple of people, I'm not going to say who you are. اللي قاعد معايا في فلوريدا عارفين الحر قد ايه الوقت. مش عارفة ليه حر يعني. It's been raining all day, but it's pretty hot. So next is Chile. And then I have poetry to read from. I have more collective messages if you'd like. And also, I know a couple of people didn't post their questions yet, so I can take your question. I love you, everybody who's here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for playing this in the background. Thank you for listening. Yalla, Chile. So, Chile, this sounds like such a beautiful comment, and I really want to read it. Chile, do we know each other? Please let me know if we know each other in person or not. And if not, I would love to get to know you more. Like, I would love to connect, not just in that way. That's such a beautiful, I love this. I am subversive. What a statement. I love this. Also, Chili, a couple of comments that I haven't read here. I meet amazing, beautiful souls such as yourself. Thank you along the way, who remind me that I am not as alone as I believe in the physical. Not alone as I believe in the physical. I didn't even touch on that yet. You brought that to my life. Thank you. Exactly. I need to remember that sometimes. And the sky is falling, and it is becoming harder and harder to keep my faith in the fact that the universe and my spirit guides really have my back. I don't even know what to ask. How can I make it easier? To adapt to the sky as it is. I do still love it, and it is so beautiful, just so drastically different. You're the one who's a reader. You're the one who's a reader, feeling that. Anyone here had seen the videos coming out recently where, I don't know what part of Gaza it is, people are hearing birds for the first time because the sound of the drones is no longer in that part. What happened? What's happening with the sky spiritually? That's a really good question. Okay, so we know that colonizing entities have turned the sky into real estate. This is reality. This has been happening for a while. They've shut down airports when they wanted to. They've they've taken control over who has this technology of flight. We learned flight, right? And how it's done and what kind of fuel will be used. I mean, again, now that we're learning, now that more and more of us are learning about what's been happening in Palestine and how they didn't allow any air, there's no airfare, there's no airplanes, there's no flights coming out of Palestine or in it, right? So taking that as part of the system that we know within the larger system. I'm curious now. I should study actually. Are there airports in the Congo, and where are they? And I bet you in every way they are the furthest possible from the east, where the genocides and where all of the oppression is happening. So the air has been turned into real estate. We know how disconnected we have been from land after it was turned to real estate. Did the same happen with the sky? Is it actually blocking our ancestral connections and our connections with whatever you call, I say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You pray, like, is it really blocking your connection? That's a very good question. And you're helping me ask a very important question right now. And to me, it's a question, but maybe to you, it's something you channeled and you know is true. You're the one reading really, Shaylee, with that one. And I'm going to continue to read with you. But I just want you to know you started this reading. I'm looking at YouTube here, by the way, with Shaylee. So to read more, to adapt to the sky as it is. Wow, I do still love it. And it is so beautiful, just so drastically different. You will teach it and it will be fabulously amazing. Thank you. You are going to leave a very permanent, gorgeous imprint in the world during this incarnation, not in this life. Nothing can and will never block our spirit guides and ancestors. They are always with us no matter what. Well, I almost lost faith and you helped me restore it, so thank you for that. Because honestly, if turning land into real estate would have been a block, I wouldn't have been able to do this, you know? So you're right. Um, so let me see if I can read for you, and then if more specific questions come up, just based on all the beautiful comments you've shared so far. Thank you for allowing me to read for you, Shaylee. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think that Shaylee, like me, you grew up with very conflicting views of what it means to have to pray, to have faith, to be part of a religion. I think you've had your. I feel someone who has had their ins and outs, and who probably grew up with a strong sense of faith, but that's probably not what you practice now, or not exactly what you practice now. And maybe there was a time when people used to judge you more for that, but you've distanced yourself. I think that the sky is going to look very different in what we call the West. I think there's things that might happen in our sky that we think will not happen here. That's why a lot of people stay here or even immigrate here. Not to scare anyone, but I think that with that, or even before that and after that, because our connection with spirit is bigger than that. What you, Chaley, are talking about is not just that. It's not just about having, fire in the sky in the West, the same way that our governments, even against our will of the people, causes it in the East and in the global South and elsewhere. Um, I think that sometimes the angels get tired of us if we're not listening. I think that sometimes, the same way that we would treat a human being who's very giving and think that just because you're giving, just because you're a medic, doesn't mean you don't have an injured foot yourself. Just because you're a journalist doesn't mean that you don't have your own biography and story that you're crying about. And I think maybe in the same way, like in Malaika, or like whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends to like intercede and to protect us. If we're not listening, if we're doing our prayers and our rituals and our lives just to look good, they get tired with us too. And I think there might be almost like a protest at the sky level. Maybe that's what you're seeing. I don't know where these thoughts are coming from. I don't know if it's psychological, if it's channeling. It doesn't feel as much channeling, and that scares me a little. But I feel like it's almost like some of the angels are going on strike or something. And I think some people look in the sky and they feel it. But we can also, it's like what you said, we can always restore our relationship with what I call God. You can always restore our relationship with God. With the creator of everything, that is also the breath within everything. And if you have other words, please, and other iterations and understandings, please come with that. Come as you are. You know? But I think there's been like an inconsistent I think there's been like a consistent habit of not listening that we've had spiritually that mirrors how we haven't been listening to the collectives that we're now seeing die en masse. And I never channeled that message before. It's like we haven't been listening to God for 5 years, and simultaneously we haven't been listening to Palestinians, and simultaneously we haven't been listening to trans people, and simultaneously we haven't been listening to Black people, simultaneously we haven't been listening to immigrants, and simultaneously we've been listening to only two or three, but saying that it has to be against those two or three. And simultaneously, we haven't been listening to Africa. Simultaneously, the immigrants are not listening to the people back home. And the people back home are not listening to the ones they left. That's a problem I hope we unite in Egypt. One big hope I have for Egypt is that the people inside Egypt listen to the people outside Egypt, and the people outside Egypt listen to the people inside Egypt. We would be unbeatable. And honestly, it's part of the collective power that Palestinians built. And big shout out, because Palestinians were forced out. They didn't immigrate, they were forced. It's an exodus. They were forced out. So the only way they can maintain, like, they can't go back. So the only way to stay connected to Palestine is to stay connected with Palestinians inside. They can't go back. It's not like other immigrants that have the option to go back. Or of course, if you're a political dissident, then yeah, you can't go back. But that's because of what you did, not because of who you are. Palestinians can't because of who they are, not because of what they wrote or what they published. You know what I mean? So a lot of Palestinians I know worked against everything to stay united. The country, you know how much of the country's been broken up and stolen, and the people that not only have been slain, that are not ancestors, but the people that left and can't come back. And I wish the whole world, if every nation, every country learned that, to stay interconnected and not say, you don't know because you left. You don't know because you never left. How about you know what you don't know, and you know what you don't know? But no, we would be unbeatable. Anyways, so going back to your reading, I really divulged, but I really think you're speaking to something here about the quality. I think there's something about the quality of the sky that changed, because the sky is not more powerful than us. We can bring it back. We can bring that bond with the sky back. You're not a job to them. You are them. You give them life. Exactly. That's even more. Exactly. So if we give them life and we're disconnected, I remember being 5 years old and sitting in church looking at those people like, what are you people talking about? You are wrong. Yeah. We've all been there with our, yeah. I've been there. Yeah. The angels have no control over what is happening. They cannot stop what we as a collective are choosing, because we're given the greatest gift of free will. Yep, we must start choosing to vibrate in love, not vibrating in fear. Absolutely. Love will always win. Fear will devour and destroy. Home is not a place. Home is in the heart. Do not let them take your hearts. That last one. That last one. That's exactly what I meant about no matter what you go through, don't become a worse version of yourself. It was earlier in the live, before you were on, Jaylee. Like, no matter what happens to you, don't replicate the horrible things that have happened to you and excuse it just because it's on a smaller scale, or it's towards a family member versus someone from another community, because you've let them take this, and that will never bring you reparation, ever. And I know people who have never let go of their heart, who have been through hell and back. If they can do it, we all can. If they can do it, I can. At least that's what I tell myself. I don't want to assume. Some of us here have been through hell and back and are big teachers to me. Too many of us die early on, but don't get buried until we are old in age. Yeah, that's very true. And some of us recover life moments before we die. I've seen that. I've seen people that have carried so many toxic behaviors and beliefs, and literally months or a year or so, a couple of years before they die, they become angels again. They let go of all that grief. And it's sad it took them this long, but it's also so beautiful that they don't have to carry that with them. I'm doing one more hour, so I'm gonna close out of the live. I might wait like 5 minutes this time so I can focus on your reading, Shaylee, and then I'm gonna go again on Instagram. So again, IG crowd, give me like 5 minutes. There's only 1 minute remaining before the live is cut off, so I'm gonna cut it off before the minute mark. I'm gonna take exactly 5 minutes. I'm gonna be back by like 8:40 p.m. Eastern, so I can finish Shaylee's reading. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. Um, Beautiful question. I'm gonna answer that privately, Shaylee. I'll be back. Bring your questions, and keep me in the background if you want. If you can't, I love that you were here today. I love that you were here, period. Thank you for being here. You matter. This earth is so alive because of you, just as you are. Bye. See you in a bit. Okay. I'm going to put this aside and focus on your reading, because I feel like it keeps me in a collective reading, which is great, but I also want to focus on the specific question that you asked me, Chaylee. Um, what you said about don't let them take your heart as the home. Thank you so much for that gift. You have a lot of wisdom yourself, and I'm really, really, really honored that I'm in your presence. You have a ton of wisdom. I feel like this was a mutual reading. This wasn't me reading. This was really the two of us co-reading in a way, if not even you reading and me listening and riffing off. And I'm very grateful for you. I say that with all humility and with all respect. The specific question about Daniel, I'm gonna pull some cards for that, and it's literally just us right now. Thank you so much, Jaylee. That means a lot. That means every just that means everything. Thank you so much for saying that. There's power in numbers, exactly. For each other. Like, thank you so much. I don't want my people of my cultures to experience that, and I don't want any of it on anyone. I don't want any of it to repeat ever on anyone. I wish I could take it away from all the people who experienced it in the past that were different, and I want us to stop it from ever happening to anyone else in the future. So thank you for that. Thank you. Um, on Daniel, I don't know what kind of coming back you're like is at play, but I will say I'll be very honest with you, and maybe it's good that this is private. Um, I I don't see him coming back to the people that were in his life before. So that might mean that he will not come back to you. I think that right now I think what he's realizing is that he has to come back to family or a family member, maybe like a parent. And I think that the more that he does that, the more he will realize that he has to heal that first before he keeps hurting other people because he's repeating certain patterns, or because um, yeah, there's just some trauma he needs to release. His parents are not here. Okay, so it might be maybe not his parents. Maybe like it does, it does feel like someone older than him, or someone who played the role of a parent. But I could be very wrong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It breaks my heart, and it is the worst feeling of being completely helpless and feeling as if we cannot change it or help. I felt that pain coming for years, and it is crippling. It can be very crippling. And it's been, we thought we were going to do a lot more in 2020. We thought we were going to do a lot more last year. And that dream and that thought is not a mistake, though. I think one day it will happen. One day it will reverse. It will happen. We'll create magic. We'll create a truly loving world. I know we will. From his parents, you're correct. Yeah, there's definitely like this major trauma that he's carrying. And I feel like there's people, even if it's not his direct parents, there's like people that were formative in his life that are like family, so other biological family or people who helped raise him, that he feels he has to like fix things with, because he's starting to realize that if he doesn't do that, he's gonna keep repeating. Um, he's gonna keep inflicting the same trauma. We just need to stay strong and continue to remind people what love is. It's very true. Thank you for that. That's far more merciful than being jaded. Thank you for that. And love is true. Love, it doesn't, it never leaves the sky. It never goes away. It never goes away. It's gonna always be here. I'm gonna go ahead and go back on IG as well, but I'm still like continuing your reading for sure. So I'm gonna click the button real quick. Let me know, what do you think of what I said so far? Does it feel like it resonate as far as your question about Daniel? Let me know if it does or if it doesn't. Feel free to be open with me. I'm thick skinned and I'm here for the truth. So I got you. So we're gonna have I miss him so much, and I know that my purpose was to wake him up. It's just hard to accept the role of being a healer. It is hard. It is very hard, and I'm sorry, Chaley. And we can definitely, if you want, we can talk about that privately, because I feel like I've been in that role before with others where I felt that it was my role to awaken them, and it only left me very depleted and very lonely. And there was a degree to which I awakened them and they awakened me back, even. Like that did happen on some level. But at the same time, I think if you play the role primarily of a healer in someone else's life, it can be a lonely place. Because who's healing you back? You know, you're not building with someone, you're building for someone. And that can be a lonely place. I think we're meant to build with people and not for people. But that's a really important topic to touch on, really. Hi, Raya. Hi, Janavi. Hi, Mohammed. Hey, Raya. It's really good to see you again, dear. Everyone leaves. I feel like that's the problem sometimes with becoming taken on the role of just continuing a conversation with Shaylee here, everybody, about when you become primarily a healer for someone, and then it feels like they leave you as soon as you're healed. Um, I haven't, Janavi. Thank you for that question. I haven't yet. Maybe I can go into that next. I haven't yet about the arts. Yeah, I haven't yet. Um, Definitely, Shaylee, and it's hard. I feel like abandonment issues come with commodification and feeling used, usually more than other things. It comes with the idea that, like, once someone gets what they want, they dip in a way. And I think for healers and for people that offer services, you feel like you're there for people in their worst moments, and when they're in their best, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna bounce. And that's something that each and every single one of us can take responsibility for. What I mean by that is, if you're on the receiving end of it, um, what does it mean to, like, be truly grateful for someone showing up for you? And that doesn't mean owing them anything, but it does mean, like, grateful for this exchange of life. That who else would you want to celebrate life with other than the person who helped you? And if they thought they were helping you and they weren't, to have the dignity to leave them instead of leading them on that they're helping you. And then later on saying, well, you weren't helping me to begin with. Why didn't you leave? Why did you take more energy from that person? And I think if you're on the end, like you or me, who tend to give and who tend to heal others, to be accountable to the fact that we are equal to everybody else. We don't have godlike powers just because we love people or we have a healing ability. We're equal. We're equal. We might have moments that show the miracle of being human. A lot of us have those moments, but we're equal. We deserve to be nourished as we are nourishing others. I'm been told that I vibrate at a high frequency and many have a hard time accepting it. And that's where, you know, I feel like that fits right on the topic, Chaylee, with what we've been talking about. Um, we're showing up in big numbers to injustices in the world, but it's perfectly okay to show up in very small numbers to the people that we can build with soul level and decolonize with on the inside, because it can be disappointing that, um, that it actually ties to the next topic. It can be disappointing to show up in a room with people that share the same hashtag but not the same intention, if that makes sense. And bless you for realizing that. If you've realized that, if you realize that there's very few people I can be close with, that's a moment on the path to your blessing of being your fullest self and of being your purest self and of aligning yourself with the intentions you have for this world fully. Not just by name or not just by intention, not just by action, not just by prayer, by all of these things. So, blessings to you for being your most genuine self. I want to go into another topic. This is part of the live that I might do like another video later, um, to share permanently. I had an experience that wasn't very pleasant, and I think it happens to a lot of black and brown artists around certain moments when our issues are highlighted. I experienced that directly as an Arab, as an Afro-Arab artist recently. Um, the thing that scares me the most, thank you, Chaylee, for never allowing your heart to remain jaded, to be jaded. I'm with you on that, and thank you for that. I'll never allow my heart to be jaded either. I I got more and more private about it, slight sometimes, but with the intention of letting it shine once more once the environment is right. Thank you for that, dear. Thank you in return. So one of the things that I actually experienced, that I think, Gardenia, like, we can talk about the spaces in Orlando. I've experienced that when I perform, a lot of times it is, even in the past, John, I mean, you've known since 2019. and before, a lot of times, a lot of my performances were about Palestine. As a I identify as a non-Palestinian, even though part of my ancestry is, but again, not part of my lived experience today, right? Because I feel like this is something people need to know, that the United States, what it's doing to my people in Palestine. And I also did shows about the Sudan and about Syria and about Egypt and um, about different places, but I've focused on Palestine a lot and about Iraq. A lot of times I get this like weird radio silence in shows. You can tell that they like my words, they like my art, but there's a radio silence and a fear, including by other black and brown artistic spaces. There's a fear to support me in case, sorry, there's poor connection. There's like a fear to actively snap or actively yell free Palestine at the show or anything like that, because you might lose funding or lose audience or lose relevance. Like there's even a lot of people that will privately say we support you, but like I get up on the mic and part of it is a racial ambiguity, right? My hair is, this is new, the straight hair. This is not how it looks like most of the time. It's a big fro, right? And being both Arab and African, people, maybe can't pin me. And then I start to talk, and then they know what I'm going to talk about. And then they like agree, but they don't want to say too loudly that they agree. Or sometimes they look at me with disgust, like I'm the one inflicting trauma on them, even though I'm just announcing what the trauma is. And then there's people who literally like cry and come hug me after, and I didn't want them to feel that. And at the same time, especially I would say in BIPOC spaces, like I would say honestly, mostly Black femme artists will like fight hard for me. I'm gonna be very honest. Black women and femme artists will like a small group within a large space will fight hard for me and be like, "This is your home, come back," even if they're not the organizers. Now, recently, this is all not that bad. This is in BIPOC spaces, right? In queer white spaces and people who are white seeming, even if they're not necessarily white, who are organizers. I recently had a show, and it was probably one of the best shows. It was a punk music show, and I went as a poet. Chaley, a poet trying to make a scene in a punk space, all raising funds for Palestine. Um, and you could hear a needle drop. I was so honored. It felt like I walked out and everybody probably early to mid 20s. I'll be honest, all of the Black and Latino kids came up and talked to me. A lot of also white youth and youth from different backgrounds came up and talked to me. We had amazing conversations. It felt like the best show on the planet. Before that, I did tolerate a phone call that felt like it shouldn't have lasted an hour and 20 minutes. And it was someone who was of Latin background, presents as white, talking to me about their, I don't know. I'm going to say more details here since it's not saved. But I don't think I needed to hear about their brother's ex who's Zionist. Like, I really hope people stop sharing those experiences. Instead of the word Zionist, if you're talking to an Arab, I hope to God you're not doing this to a Palestinian artist, whomever is hearing this. I hope to God you're not doing this to a Palestinian. I'd much rather you do that with me and let me find ways to share the information. But instead of saying the word Zionist, say the word genocider and see how horrible that feels. Yeah, like I went to school with one of your genociders or someone who believed in your genocide, instead of saying Zionist. Because that decenters the conversation from like, I'm supposed to be here listening to you and processing your grief and processing how you got radicalized. When you're talking about like, bro, like I don't need to hear this right now. There's other things I need to hear. There's other things I'm not informed of. There's other things I need to inform myself of. And it's not that. It's not that in this moment. And I feel guilty if I'm triggered too, because it's not my time to be triggered. Like, please don't talk to a Arab artist about your Zionist neighbor, ex person you went to school. I replace the word Zionist with genocider. How would you feel? And someone said, "Oh yeah, one of my old friends used to be one of your genociders. People believed in your genocide." You would never do that. So don't do it. Don't tell that story. Skip. You know, There's other things that could take up that hour of my time. Anyways, the show was phenomenal. The show was wonderful. After the show, I got several messages, people that are saying, please come to the show where you will not be interrupted. And I was so grateful, by the way. I woke up ecstatic. These messages, it felt like, okay, I can use my art to build momentum again. But there's always this comment where you will not be interrupted, where you will not be interrupted. I'm like, I don't think I was interrupted. I mean, there was like a performer who in the middle, because we thought about doing like an improv thing, and they said like, hey, just so you know, we have another band coming. And I'm like, cool, no worries, you know? Um, so then that same person called me, hey, I feel so guilty about you being interrupted. And I'm like, it's not that big a deal. And I'm like, I know they're a white person, they shouldn't have silenced you. I'm like, I didn't see them as silent. They were just telling me there's a set list. It's okay. Like, that's completely fine. And then and they want me to like share private messages, and I don't feel comfortable about that. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to be processing all that right now. And then they're like, I can even tell you who's talking shit about them. I'm like, don't. That's slander, and that's against my faith. It's against my religion. This conversation's over. They didn't do anything wrong. Last but not least, the artist who interrupted me reached out. I said, listen, I just saw it. Like, I'm from Cairo. I grew up in the Northeast. People talk tough. I didn't see you as like, I don't know. I didn't see you as being tough with me. You just were telling me there's a set. It's okay. Right? That's all I saw it as. And then they said, like, can I share a private message? Can I share a screenshot of your messages? And I'm like, that feels excessive, honestly. I mean, if you want, I don't think, I'll be honest with you, I don't think you should ask a person. Yeah, I'm going to read that message, Chaley. I'm going to read that message out loud at the end. Thank you for that. I don't like the private message thing. And I kind of like told them, I even just tried to like offer it from like a place of love. I said, you know what? If somebody tell you that you bothered me, tell them Maryam gave me unsolicited advice, so it's even. But just as a word of advice, don't let crap like that get to you. And I don't know if it's worth sharing private messages over. Like, I'm an artist. My career, and I even said that at the show, my career got interrupted 3 times because I speak about Palestine. 3 times in my life. I went to some kind of top. I could have went higher. And, you know, and that will happen. You know, so like if people are talking crap and they're like, my livelihood could be cut off and I could be homeless. And I'm like, I'm sorry about your livelihood. Why don't we have a call? Why don't we talk about a solution that we both come up with instead of your idea of a screenshot? It's not even about me. I'm like, why don't we talk? They sent an essay back, like an essay. I mean, I sent an essay to be fair, but a lot of the essay was people assume that I don't go through struggles. And I also do a lot of benefit shows. My livelihood is very important because then people don't get to eat. Like, I don't like when people we all do benefit shows, dude. Like, okay, but I get it. And in Florida, where trans and queer people are being targeted, and that's very true. But again, I don't like when people break it down. Palestinians present as black, as brown, as white. There's trans Palestinians, there's queer Palestinians, and like we shouldn't have to say those things for Palestinians to be defended. I'm sorry. So anyway, hi Mahinur. I'll be absolutely just in a little bit, Mahinur. If you have a question, just in a little bit, I promise I'll just finish the segment. It is manipulation, right? And Shaylee, I didn't get even that manipulation till all the way at the end. I said, you know what? Go ahead and share the screenshot of just the first part that nothing happened, everything is okay. But I'd like to maintain a boundary. And thank you that we worked with each other this one time, but maybe that should be it. That was my conclusion. I didn't get to read every word. I promise I'll read every word. But thank you so much. Yes, share a screenshot. Go ahead of our first conversation. And other than that, maybe we should stop. You know what the response was? Thank you. And I just want to say, my people are dying too, not just Palestinians. Bye. Do I need to analyze all the things that went wrong? From the phone call. Thank you. Shaylee said you are so much more powerful than you realize. You don't need them. I know that's the ultimate message for any black, trans, brown artist, like any artist here who saw what was wrong with this in a moment of genocide. Genevieve. I should have known from the call that was very long. And we do this, so I should have known. But like, I'm trying to fight for my people. I'm trying to do any show. I took a Lyft, $20. I didn't take a single penny, and I don't want. This is normal. This is normal. And here's two people demanding so much of one's time and attention and labor because they're raising funds for Palestine. If they're doing this with a Palestinian artist, I'm really sorry to say this. I hope they get publicly canceled. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. They're terrified of it. You're right. They are terrified of my, honestly, they are terrified of the power of Palestinian artists right now. I think, whew, Chili, you just read for me again. And Mainur, I promise I'll get to your reading. I promise I'll get to your questions here. I think they're terrified. They're terrified of the power of Palestinian artists. And I'm very sorry if you're a Palestinian artist who is on now, or who will see this later, that your blood is boiling enough. And I've seen, honestly, I've read things, Palestinian poets and artists that have talked to me, and the amount of excessively heinous shit they've experienced from Pan America, from like big publishers and organizations. It's freaking ridiculous. So to have excessive access to someone's listening, you want me to listen to your stories about the horrible Zionists that were in your life right now? Why am I the person to hear this? You want to process it, please, by all means, but process it with someone with comparable experience. And you know what? It happened to me like twice or three times so far since October. And I kind of embarrass people. You know what I tell them? I've never had a Zionist in my life. You know why? It's not because of integrity. It's because they think I'm a fucking animal. It's because they wouldn't talk to me. I don't even have the option of having integrity to not have a Zionist in my life. I don't. The minute they know who I am or what I am and what I stand for, or the minute I know, that's it. It's done. It's done. They gotta prove their humanity to other people. They don't want to me because they think I'm disgusting. They think I don't deserve to live, or they think I'm automatically violent. They don't think I'm a person. So I don't have Zionists in my life. I'm sorry I don't have the traumatic experiences that you have, being close with the Zionists and then realizing that they believe in mass murder, that they believe in genocide. I have the traumatic experience of knowing people who have lost people, not losing people directly to the occupation, other than people that I've lost in Egypt because they spoke against the occupation. I do know that. I have the trauma of witnessing young boys and girls that look like childhood photos of me dismembered since my childhood in the late 80s, since the internet came out. That's my trauma. So it's not having the Zionist friend. And it's like, and then on top of that, the person that I defended, that I gave unsolicited advice, I was really giving them counsel as a young artist. And one of the things they tried to be, I found very ageist. They're like people of my generation, because I was open about the fact that I'm an older generation at the show. And I said, you can be this freaking fabulous. You can be proud that your career got restarted 3 times, in part because you spoke about Palestine and you spoke about what's right. And I spoke even with him. I spoke against anti-blackness even in the Arab American community. Like I've lost people for integrity sometimes, more than once, and that's okay. And I've gained a lot of people for integrity. Look at all of you here. Look at you here. I've gained so many people for integrity. I've gained opportunities for integrity and for continuing. I didn't always have perfect integrity, but it's been always my goal. I will say that. And the older I got and the more I stuck with it, I've gained things. I'm not saying I only lost. That's unfair. But I just think that and I promise I'll read your comment, Jonavi. I feel it's very important. I think, part of what they shared was people share screenshots all the time. It's a younger generation thing. So when you become vulnerable and you share something and they use it against you, and it's like, this was such a wonderful show. This was such a wonderful show. I'm sharing only the negative conversations. There was powerful conversations, y'all. Powerful. I mean, there was a poem I wrote on during the martyrdom of George Floyd. That same week, there was, I forgot his full name. It was Noor something, who was assassinated in the West Bank in Palestine. And then there was an Egyptian named Chadi Habash who died in the prison after being starved for 2 years or 2 years without trial. All happened the same week. And I wrote a poem about it and I read it and I dedicated it to all three societies, all three peoples. There were so many beautiful conversations. Man, the youth that came up, all of the different, I'm only mentioning the negative details. And I wish I had like written record of the beautiful, I wish I could, you want to share screenshots? I wish I could share screenshots of the positive conversations and builds that happen outside the show. You want to make it an ageist thing? Oh, I'm insinuating I'm an old fart, that I'm not familiar that sharing screenshots is a normal thing? Come on now. When I offered that we talk and come up with a solution together, the world does not revolve around you. Exactly. It doesn't revolve around that person's generation or mine. It doesn't revolve around the loss of life this person's experiencing or mine. When are we going to realize this? And Jonavie's comment, I hope that more people will take pause before bringing these things up with the people who don't need to hear it. I hope so too. I really hope so. It's exhausting, and it's really exhausting for artists. I think for Palestinian and Arab artists, we haven't been represented honestly at all as far as the difficulties we've experienced before, pre and post shows that we have. And then there's identities within us that are erased. Afro-Arab, being Black and Arab, or being African and Arab is completely erased. There's so many, especially after, like, I met so many online. It's actually kind of like, and I know I have a privilege within that with my racial ambiguity, 100%. That people that are my educators, because they can't afford the ambiguity I can afford, and they're my educators now. And we met online. There is queer and trans Palestinians are almost completely erased, and a few have gotten more prominence online. And it all revolves around knowing English and living outside of the place it's bleeding. But it's something, and it's like the intersections that we experience. Um, if we're part of, if you're, a lot of also people are Palestinian and Latino, that's a very common like intersection. A lot of people don't talk about that at all. The erasure you experience in both communities. Um, Shout out to the people in my life who've educated me about that and who go through that. Like, we're done. We're done with being the margin. We're done with being the afterthought, the comma. BIPOC didn't never included Arab. And every time people talk about Arab, they talk about privileged Arabs, like Arabs with a citizenship, or Arabs like middle class Arabs. And yes, middle class Arabs perpetuate a lot of anti-blackness, but that impacts Black Arabs. No one talks about that as part of the Black community. Does that make sense? Or perpetuate a lot of classism, but that impacts people within the community, not just outside. And that's been a way to hide the fact that we're being mass killed by the US, is to erase the rest of us and only talk about the few of us that are up there. And that happens to every community, by the way. I've seen people, unfortunately, I've seen like very racist international people say, why are they saying that Black Americans are oppressed? I've seen the basketball. I'm like, first of all, you haven't lived a day here. Second of all, stop doing this. Stop letting the elite in a community, like, this is a tactic of oppression. Represent the rest of that community. Go talk to people. Go read a book. And, stop treating artists like we're made of steel. Like we're here to take on. I know we bring ecstasy, and I know we feel ecstasy. Man, it's so joyful to be an artist. I'm so lucky I'm an artist. I'm so lucky. I felt collective feeling and organizing and unity, real unity, in that space when I was performing. But do I have to pay for it every time? That was my message. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I know this was long as hell. I'm going to do a condensed version of this to share just because I feel like Palestinian artists shouldn't be going through this. You did it to the Arab artists? Okay, fine. You know, don't do it to a Palestinian artist. I'm not fine because of self-sacrifice. I did suffer. I was in pain, but I know my pain would be more if I was Palestinian right now. I know that. I mean, not more. I don't want to measure pain. Not more or less pain. Anybody with a big heart can carry through as a human being. I really do believe that, even if they haven't been through something themselves, but not in the intimate way as a person who's been through it. I have that respect for for being human. I have that respect for being human. This was nothing but beautiful, and I'm beyond grateful to have been given the gift of your message. Thank you, Chili. And it all goes back to integrity makes our life easier, not harder. It might make it harder to find shows, but it makes your life easier because you're the same person across. And you share that love across. And you're not too dependent on a platform or even on your gift. You know that if, God forbid, my tongue goes wrong or my cognition, I can't write words anymore, that I can't be a poet anymore tomorrow, I'll bake bread with the same integrity. That's integrity. If this account disappears, I'll build another community. Not that y'all are replaceable. None of you, not a single one of you is. I'm just saying, like, you'll give that energy that you gave me to other people in your community. I'll give it to other people in my community. And our community just got bigger. Instagram didn't take nothing away from us because I took the love you gave me and did something else with it. And you took the love and did something else with it. That's integrity. It makes your life easier. I miss you both a lot. Hi, Galen. And Minor, you've waited a long time. I am taking a question. I'm gonna post my Venmo. So if you have Venmo, actually at this point I'm not gonna even. It was 15, but any tip that you leave, I'll do the reading. Like any tip that you leave, I don't care what amount. Thank you so much. Um, 15 is suggested because I'm saving some for myself and some for a fundraiser. But if 15 feels like a lot, please leave any tip and it will be fine. And post your question and I definitely got you. What up, Galen? Thank you everybody who heard this message. Let's make it less and I'm saying a version of it. There's other versions that happen to black artists, the other version that happens to native artists, the other version that happens to and even that can't be reducible, right? Being African is so diverse. I mean, as part of the African diaspora, I can't tell you how diverse it is to be, and to be black is everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world. So there's all these intersections that get erased. I'm telling you, like, my experience with my own, and I really want people to like center Palestinians right now with everything I described. This genocide is happening by the US. For God's freaking sake, we need to center that with what we're doing here. But again, it's like just my experience as an Arab artist. And shout out to all the places I'm from. Shout out to Egypt. Yes, this is my home base where I'm born and raised, where my parents are born and raised, where my grandparents, I think, are born and raised. I'm not 100% sure. And then shout out to, I know they were raised differently. Shout out to the Sudan. Shout out to Palestine. Shout out to Syria. That's where my family, there was like one generation that was from everywhere. And some people question if you're not that Egyptian. Screw all that, man. Screw all that. Anyways, I'm not in Egypt, love, but I'm from there. I was born and raised in Cairo. Like Venmo, I'm from Pakistan, so nothing works. Okay, then don't worry about it. Minor, don't worry about it. You're totally fine. Just post your question, dear. Don't worry about it. I got you. No need to. Your presence is enough. Just post your question. And Raya, thank you so much. If you don't mind, I'm gonna try to be quicker, y'all. I'm taking way too long. So I have Mahinur and then Raya for questions. I'm ready when you are. Um, okay, Maynor, I got you. I'm gonna time myself to 5 minutes each, if you don't mind, like 5 to 7 minutes, just because again I took way too long. Andrea, feel free to drop your question whenever you're ready, dear. So I got you right after. Okay, I got you, Maynor. I'm gonna look here because you're here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I love the name Habib. And sending love to you in Pakistan. I know I'm saying it with an Arabic accent, Habib. I don't know if Habib, I think Habib needs to talk to you to figure out where you both are. I absolutely feel that, Shaylee. We gotta talk after. We definitely gotta talk after, dear. Um, Mahinur, I think, please let me know in the chat. Did you have like a fight with Habib or something like that? Did you have like an argument or a fight? Okay, I got you, Raya. I got you. I love you so much, Raya. I remember we talked about this before. I got you. You aren't talking for a week now. Did you guys, yeah, you guys like argued or something along those lines? Yeah, that's what I saw. Subhanallah. I think you guys will talk again. I think it's really, really important when you talk again that you're not like, I think it's really important that you both like speak from the heart and realize that you're going through a hard time. Um, it might be even that it's not just you going through a hard time or him going through a hard time. It might be like your environment, like maybe where you are in Pakistan right now is going through a hard time. I think he perceives you. It's weird. I think he's so drawn or attracted to you, but he feels like his dignity got affected. Like, even if he's drawn or attracted to you, he will not follow that if he feels like his dignity got messed with. To be very honest, I think he still has some feelings for you, but like, he's willing to step on them because his dignity is like important to him. I will be honest with you, I think the feelings got less. I don't know, you know, and I don't like sometimes to speak. If I don't know, I don't know. Like, it's not clear whether he has, I'll be very honest. Okay, let me say it this way. I don't know if he specifically has romantic feelings for you or if he just loves you. I think you guys need to talk, and you really, really have to talk, like, about what happened between the two of you. I think whatever that happened between you guys affected you. Yeah, I have a feeling you guys will talk at least one more time. And when you talk, you really have to open up your hearts. It can't be about who's gonna win. That's very hard for people to do sometimes. We all go in that place, no matter how much we try to like open our heart. Um, I can't speak on that, love. I don't do readings about whether people end up together or break up. I don't do readings about whether people will be born or die. If I feel it, I feel it. I'm sorry, Manuel. Thank you so much for asking me and for trusting me. But I can't. Thank you for wanting me to check, but I'm very sorry. I can't do that, dear. Because I think that is you and him. That is y'all's will. I do think you will talk with each other. I can't say specifically what he likes about you, but yeah, I can tell he likes you, and I can definitely see. I see three things. I see attraction. I see he likes talking to you, and I see that he was looking for safety or security. So probably like safety and security can mean like the base chakra, can mean like family or building a home. So yeah, there's all of these things, but at the same time, um, I do see that he feels those things towards you, but I can't speak to whether you both will end up together or not. I do think that you both need to have a calm conversation. I think you should reach out to him, honestly. I don't know. I don't like Thank you for asking that. Thank you. And I know a lot of readers do that. I don't like being too specific like that. If he's missing you or not, I don't know. These are very intimate. I feel like I'm invading his privacy. But what I did get, and I'm very sorry, I know a lot of readers do that. I know a lot of readers do that. And there's been time where I even went to these, went to readers that sometimes I even was tempted to ask those questions, you know? He hasn't responded to my messages. I will try one more time. I think he's definitely, I do really feel that you guys are going to talk. All right, let me check. I'll do one last check if you've been on his mind, and then Ryan, then I got your questions here. Let's see. And I hope you don't mind that I was very honest with you. Like, of course, come as you are. Thank you for all your questions, but just being honest about what I can and can't do, so I don't give you any false information. I think it might take a while from him. I think he's thinking about himself right now, more than I think he's thinking about past relationships. He's thinking about you, but he's thinking about all his past relationships. And there's something maybe it's something he even doesn't want to repeat. Does that make sense, dear? So, Mahinur, he's thinking about you, but I think he's thinking about other relationships he's had in the past. He might have said he only had one or two, but I think he's loved many. And again, sorry, Habib, I feel like I'm invading, say a lot, but um, he's thinking about his love life in general right now. When he feels ready, I think he will respond to you. I think he'll feel bad he took so long, and you both will talk, you both will hash it out. Um, and you will both make a very important decision together. Just don't give up on speaking with each other yet. That's what I would say. I hope this reading helped, Mahinur. Thank you so much for letting me read for you and for trusting me. Feel free to like the video if you'd like, completely up to you. And thank you, dear. Thanks for that trust. That means a lot. Thank you. Um, sending you some hearts. Thank you for that, love. Raya, are you still here? Okay. So I'm gonna read Raya's question. I just stood up and sent an email that I'm experiencing bullying in the workplace. I stood up for myself. I wanted to know what's next in my career. That you see, I want to find another job. I'm an engineer with an MBA. I'm finding difficulty in finding another job. I had to stand up for myself today because enough was enough. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna reach for you, love. Bismillah. First of all, you're such a badass for the MBA and for working so hard and for having this accomplishment. Big congratulations. I don't care if it was expected of you or not. I don't care if you're already good at studying or not. The fact that you did it is a big, big accomplishment, and you're a badass. You're a major badass. You're a major badass. I don't even mention it online that much. I have two master's degrees that I worked my butt off for. Any kind of graduate work, work your butt off for. And an MBA has very specific requirements. You're a badass. Thank you, love. Thank you for that. Okay. Oh, I want to cry. It's not gonna be easy, but I do feel like you'll find other work. I just think that it's gonna take investment. It's so hard to do this all at once. First of all, like shout out to you for doing the job that you're doing while dealing with bullying and harassment, while standing up for yourself, while most likely looking for other employment. Like this is a lot to all do at once. This is so much to all do at once. You're gonna find an amazing firm, and I feel like it's gonna be smaller. That might have, I feel like that smaller thing came up maybe in the last reading. I just think it will require like I think it might need some money to find the job. Maybe like investing in someone to like help edit your resume. Thank you so much, Janavi, for being here. I adore you to pieces, Janavi. I love you so so much, and thank you, Galen. I'm gonna see you both soon, and it's gonna be really really good. I love you both a lot. Two very beautiful people, y'all. Two very listen. Two very very beautiful people. I'm so honored, so proud of just I'm proud to have like to have been in this in the circle in the same music circle and art circle as Galen and Jonathan. I'm really proud of them. And I learned from them as someone who's always aspired to be an adaptable person and someone who grows from experiences. Not only did they always have the purest intention from day one, but I've seen them grow too as I, you know, aspire to always grow. And it's beautiful to have people that mirror that energy where you're all growing together. It means a lot. Anyways, I don't want to keep talking about them because they'll feel guilty and not want to leave. And also, Raya, it'll make you wait, and I don't want that for you. But good night, y'all. Rest well. Rest well. I love you guys. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna land something really good. I'm not gonna lie. I just feel bad that I feel in like our time and in human time, it's gonna take a while. That's the part that really sucks. But you're gonna release and you're gonna land something so good. I don't know if you're gonna start your own thing, but you're gonna land something where you're almost. I don't know how to say it. It's almost like after the next job, not that one you're in right now. After the next job, if you wanted to start your own firm, you'll have everything that you need. You'll have all the experience that you need. So it'll almost feel like independent work, if that makes sense. Um, I think you're gonna leave a dent in one person's career. By that I mean, what there's one person, there's multiple people. I mean, this card has three that are visualized, but I think there's like one of them whose career you're gonna literally like. I hate to say it, you're gonna kind of like you're gonna help expose him. It's gonna take several exposures for him to uh, have the repercussions on what how he treats other people, and it's really really freaking unfortunate that this is how the work world works, right, Carla? Like that we have people where sorry, Chaley. I don't know why I said Carla Chaley. It's really messed up. Exactly. There's like one person who's gonna be exposed from your work, and it's messed up that sometimes it takes multiple people exposing someone for repercussions to hit them if they're a higher up. That happened with me. I had someone who like crossed me multiple times, crossed multiple people, but then once he crossed a certain person who was like middle management, then he got exposed and then he was fired. So it's sad that it took this much, but I think like just know that like you've contributed towards like justice, and you will hear later of this person being fired or being something happening, and it will be justice. It's not because you want ill will for anybody. It's because exactly because you want what's good to happen for everybody, and you want to stop his harm. You don't want him to hurt any more people. And I think that this one of the people that you have exposed is going to catch up to him. I'm just letting you know. I would just invest. I know it might need money, which sucks. You shouldn't need money to make money to make our living, but either like a search engine, someone who writes resumes, someone who has connections, things like that. I'm like getting like activated for you. I want this to happen for you so much, but that's what I see in the reading so far. But you will learn something else, and you will contribute to justice with one person. I don't know if the other people they're too higher up, and I feel really bad saying that. There's two bullies. I feel really is one of them of a higher rank than the other, or has been around longer or something. But the other person is gonna get hit. You might hear about it later, even, but they're gonna get hit, as they should. if they're not going to stop their oppression. I always, always, always love that from my faith, that hadith or saying of Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. The other one is higher, yeah, where the saying is like, you have to love everyone you have to love all of the oppressed and all of the oppressors. And then the Sahaba are asking, all right, we know how to love the oppressed, but how the heck do we love the oppressor? And he said, by stopping them from doing the oppression. You're not obligated to love him whatsoever at all, ever. But I'm just saying that this is doing good. Stopping someone from doing their oppression, getting them fired, whatever, it's not because of ill will. It's because of goodwill towards the people he's hurting. And I'm sorry it took that cost on you, Raya. Therefore, I mean, I'm going to say the same exact thing that Shaylee said. They're afraid of your power. They're afraid of your experience. You have more experience and more analytical power than they ever could. You have more diversity power than they ever could. And they're jealous, honestly. On some level, they're trying to be, even if it's not like a burning jealousy or whatever, if it's like a tactical jealousy, they see you as competition. They just don't want you to believe that with what they say, but they see you as competition. Their loss. With your kind heart, you could have taken them up with you, but their loss. They chose the path of oppression. If you have any other questions, Raya, please let me know. Anyone else has any questions? Please let me know. I should be ready to end the lives pretty soon. I haven't even read any of the poems yet, but I can always bring like a couple of poetry books with me to close with. So we might close with maybe like 2 poems, and then, or maybe, you know what, 1 poem and 1 prayer. Let's close with 1 poem and 1 prayer. I'm gonna wear this hat again. Raya, thank you so much again. Let me know, do you feel like that was okay, or do you like, this is an important moment for you, so if you want me to read some more, let me know. If you want like a more specific hint or anything like that, let me do this. Job things are intense. My heart is telling me to do like what? Maybe 1 more card or 1 more message. I don't know why your mom is coming up now. Okay, your network. Yeah, something about like your network. It might even be that like the person that you hired to help you on your resume is within your network. Like lean on your network. Lean on the network that you've created. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. And lean on mom at home. If mom is, I don't know if people sometimes live far from their parents, or they may no longer be with us, or whatever that means to you. Yeah. She may have been very like this time she's gonna be, she may have been like a beautifully balanced person between like supporting you and demanding or having certain like milestones or expectations. Sometimes it's beautiful, by the way, but this time she's with you, yeah, this time she's gonna just like hold and cradle you. Mothers can have this very beautiful side to them, that like at first they're showing this like pushing you, and it's beautiful, especially to a daughter or a child. But then in the moments when you are struggling or want to switch or want to protect yourself, they're all mush. Even if it's the mom that may not have always expressed herself as such, she'll be all mush. That I don't know if that's applicable or not. Maybe projecting from my own life, but it felt like it needed to be shared. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna read. Let's see. What are we gonna read from today? So, I don't know why this feels right. Okay, it's either this one or this one. Let's see, how many are with us right now? Perfect. So I'm gonna read a couple of poems. The first one, I'm gonna read from Sawyer Hamed's Breaking Poems again. I really think that everyone should know Sawyer Hamed's work. Her most popular book was called Born Palestinian, Born Black, and she was also more known as an actress in a movie called Salt of the Sea and as a poet in the early 2000s Def Poetry Jam series by Russell Simmons. She now is on Instagram, and every time that she's in public transit, she does lives, and she talks about just how she's just where she's at with everything that's happening in her homeland in Palestine. And I've never seen that side of her, that very intimate side of her. I ran into her once by mistake. I was leaving a building in New York as she was going up, and all she said was "Allah Maki, God be with you." And I just love her very much. So I hope people are going to, you know, follow her work and this, follow her right now. Send her love right now. Suhair Hamed, Palestinian poet. I'm gonna read this from Mizna. It's a really, really great, um, just a really phenomenal magazine. I encourage everybody to look up Mizna, Mizna. This is called the Black Swana Takeover. Swana, by the way, stands for Southwest Asia, North Africa. It's an alternative to the word MENA, Middle East, North Africa, or just Middle East. The term Middle East is a very colonial term. It looks at the middle of the east of India, being the furthest reach of the British Empire. I kind of can't believe we still use it. There's no such thing as middle of east of India. Um, it's a very colonial term. So Swana, Southwest Asia, North Africa is trying to locate within those spaces that usually are dubbed the Middle East. And the Black Swana takeover is writers of the Black diaspora and the Swana diaspora who live at that intersection. So I picked this poem at random. I never read this poem before. I read about half of this edition, and my first one is my favorite. She's a Black Egyptian um, author, a Black Arab Egyptian author, but her poem is long, so I'm gonna save it for another time. And I'm gonna read this one by Saghira Shahid. Isn't that the trouble with staring too hard at joy? Isn't that the trouble with staring too hard at joy? I want to dwell into night with you until this dimension is submerged somewhere deep within the folds of my bottom lip's womb, enclave the size of a baby tortoise shell. I'm only pretending to be trapped by the summery night. You pitched a white sheet against the mouth of your garage, and it became a canvas, painting the film's flickering tongue from the projector's glass membrane. We fell asleep that way, with the movie still on, like two plump silkworms in the grass, a banquet of sunflower seeds shucked between us, a canopy of mosquitoes concentrating on our flesh. Our flesh, if this is our last night, concentrate on a canopy of tell our mother we were alive and they held our blood in their mouths. Mosquitoes like plump silkworms in bullet, as a word began as bulla meaning bubble from the Latin. The grass we fell asleep. Who am I to say our deaths hold meaning? Moving, films flickering, our names cling to whomever held us. Tongue from to be trapped, tell our fathers we wanted to outlive each looped chant. By that summery night, I want to dwell into night with you, knowing none of us will survive this nation and doing it anyway. I'm only a premonition to love that is to love that is to love, 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 that is until this dimension is submerged somewhere within a memory's fold. Isn't that the trouble with staring too hard? And it becomes a carcass. Wow. I personally hear a lot of like almost like recurring survivor's guilt in this poem. but I'm not sure. That's how it felt to me, that moment of um, peace and analysis laden with so many consequences and interruptions and reflections on what this moment is surviving. Um, Powerful poem. That was again, Isn't That the Trouble with Staring Too Hard at Joy by Saghira Shahid. Let's read a little bit from Suhair Hamad's breaking poems. The breaking poems are called Break Full, Break Burn, Break for Love, Break Water, Break Transition, Break Vista. How a Heart Breaks, Break Memories Don't Live Like People Do. I love that. That's from the Most Def. Y'all, you heard my theory last time about how her and Most Def, aka Yasin Bey, I think they had a thing. I never gossip, but this will be my gossip for some reason. Or just the way he introduced her name at the Deaf Poetry Jam. Go watch the old videos on YouTube. And he's always introduced her, Sahir Hamad. Like, y'all had something. Anyways, Break for Love. Heavy breathing drum machines, West banked, sister hold each, curly heads, ducked, loose bullet, tight soldiers, lows, that means almond eyed, oranges in blood explosion of hair. The weary shoulder, sacred, the pulsing wrist, sacred, the clasped hand temple, the smoking chest temple, sister holy fly, sister holy, terra material prima, wa ana lapis, wa ana means and I lapis azuri, flame wa scarlet star, ana mud, wa huddled into shelters, wa centers, off balance, bastanna, vision, wa epiphany. Zooted wa cased, air yo dynamic, wa ana ماشي layali, walking for nights, drum skin stretched far, ya رايح وين. Yeah, that's a song, ya رايح. I think the artist is Algerian. Those who are leaving or those who are immigrating. When my sapphire dusted dream, static supreme, dream, cash, crash, bombs, everyone around me, dream. Sash green gold coins surround me, dream. Flash dear God flood within me. Tremor moon seas, moan, tremble. Please sing, trouble, keys. There's more poems I could read, but I think we have less than a minute left. So I'm gonna come back just for the prayer part. If you want to join me for the prayer, I say it out loud. Anyone can contribute to the prayer in the comments. And I'll be right back just for the prayer. Um, Thank you so much, everybody who joined. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raya. Thank you, Gardenia. I'll be back. Music off for YouTube. Let's see. I always gotta crack my neck. Here we go. Just the prayer part. I'm gonna look here for now. So this is just for the prayer part. I'll start with a poem. I wanna be a key in your chain, a ray of sunshine in your old place, a spray paint letter on the way back. I wanna be the drink you had, the muddy steps that you took, and the footprints, and the memory that it spills. A word you spat in drunken stupor, a bitter sentence you swallowed became a silent tumor. I want to be the breath that heals you, the eyes that meet yours and melt your fears. A seismic root, a ride or die. I want to be your one night high. And when they dare, and when they dare, And when they dare flood seas and stars with metal chains and bars and monitored walls, I want to riot deep in your palm, in your tight fist, in your spare heart. And when they got you and you refuse to fall, I want to be your last call. I want to be more than a dream or a spell, that gender you once read about, that color, that smell. I'm flesh and silver spine, ancestral bone, silt of the stolen, born on patrol. I want to be borderless blood, not a mystery for you to be undone. And I would say, I want a world where we can grow and long, long hone. But all I want this round is to be a fly, so dignified in my short life, that I can quake, that I can want, then rest my wings knowing I fought for you and you and you. I want to be a key in your chain. It turns out you left the door unlocked the whole time, babe, and we will take it all back again. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. صدق الله العظيم. Ya Allah, I pray to you for myself and for everyone in the collective. If anyone would like to add to the prayer, please feel free to leave in the comments and I will read it out loud. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, please protect the people of Gaza. Please protect every single life in Gaza. Please feed them with your water. Please hold them in your light. Please let them know that they are loved. Please let them know that they are seen. Please empower us with all of the tools and all of the channels and all of the ways to hold them at night when we sleep and to wake up and scream like hell for their dignity. Please, Ya Allah, let us understand everything that is happening in the Eastern Congo. Let us understand the interconnection between it and the phone that channels my message and my prayer right now to other human beings like me. Ya Allah, please help us interrupt these technologies of evil, and please help us use it for good while we have them, as the people of Palestine have told us, as they have shown us, as they have trusted us, one hand holding their child, their starving child, and another hand holding the phone to talk to us. Ya Allah, let us find other technologies to speak with each other so that the people of the Congo may be free, so that the people of Palestine may be free, so that the cameras are no longer surveilling us, and even the cameras that we use for freedom are no longer based on the subjugation of those who create them. Ya Allah, all of us feel the threat of what is happening in Sudan. All of us are threatened that if we stand up to our government, it will murder us or they will start to murder each other. They will split into what they call civil war when none of it is civil war. It's about a people who are brave to stand up for their dignity and the dignity of everyone. It's about a people who said, we don't want to fund Zionism. It's about a people who said, we don't want to fund Western powers. And they are made to pay through what they call civil war, but really, the people that are suffering are the people, and only armies and beneficiaries delude themselves into benefiting. Ya Allah, if the people of Sudan are victorious, that means all of us will be victorious when we stand up against our government, because they threaten us with the same realities that is happening to them. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, the people of Sudan stand up for the people of Palestine and no one hears them. No one hears them. The people of Palestine paint a mural of George Floyd and no one hears them. No one hears them. No one hears our solidarity. We only hear the divisions that they want to create between us. Ya Allah, may we let those who are facing the most oppression lead all of us, because they have shown us the heart and they have shown us the way, and we continue, unfortunately, not to listen. May we listen. May we be free as they are, and may they be as safe as we are. Ya Allah, please give us all means of sustenance, of labor, of food, of shelter that are ethical. Don't let us take or steal from each other. Don't let us replicate what happens to us from larger patterns like white supremacy, like colonialism, like Zionism, like Zionism, like Zionism. Don't let us do it to each other. Let us wake up. Let us actually unite from the places from which we are, not erase who we are for the senses of unity that they wanted us to have, unity for capitalism or diversity within evil. We don't want that love. We are awake. We see you, Ya Allah. We see you in our hearts. We see you guiding us. We see all of our traditions surviving. We see all of our religions surviving. And we see you as the love that survives within all of us. And I'm extremely grateful for you. I don't know why I do what I do. I don't know why I'm doing this live. But people show up and they show me why. And I'm very grateful for you, Ya Allah, and I'm very grateful for everyone who showed up here. May Allah accept our prayers, inshallah, especially before the holy month of Ramadan. Ameen. I love you all. Thank you, everybody who came back. Thank you, everybody who stayed almost the whole time. Um, Gardinia, I hope this kept you good company. Raya, I hope this kept you good company. Everybody who's on right now, who's been on, I hope this kept you good company. I love you all. A love that can only happen from exactly how we met and exactly how we're communing. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Free Palestine.